Chapter 23-32. Looking at your eyes, you seem to be doubting my character? The golden small beast looked at him maliciously. You have to have a good character too. Qin Feiyang muttered to himself. A little frog was talking about character with him. Wasn't this a joke? But he didn't dare to say it out loud. This golden small beast was eccentric and unpredictable. If he angered it, he wouldn't have a good ending. Don't beat around the bush. What's your purpose? Qin Feiyang was very impatient. What an impatient person. All right. 10 days ago, Lord Frog suddenly sensed that a seal had been broken. The golden small beast looked at him playfully. Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. This was obviously referring to the seal of the ancient castle. The seal set by Lord Frog was broken by someone. What a disgrace. The golden small beast said again. What do you want to do? Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Was he going to seal the ancient castle again? What do I want to do? The golden small beast looked at Qin Feiyang speechlessly and said, Aren't you talking nonsense? Of course I have to get back my face. You can't do this. Qin Feiyang said angrily. Give Lord Frog a reason. The golden small beast was stunned and laughed. First of all, the ancient castle didn't threaten you. Second, we didn't offend you. Third, the seal was broken by the ancient castle bit by bit with its own ability. Now, what right do you have to seal it again? What's the difference between this and bullying? Qin Feiyang shouted angrily. It makes sense. The golden small beast nodded. Qin Feiyang frowned. He didn't believe that it would be so easy to persuade this shameless small beast. As expected, the small beast grinned and looked at Qin Feiyang. Although it makes sense, my face is more important. Boom! His voice fell. The small beast waved its paw, and a golden light instantly entered Qin Feiyang's glabella. You bastard! Qin Feiyang roared. Why don't you try cursing again? The golden small beast's eyes flashed coldly as it said, Do you believe that Grandpa Frog won't kill all of you? Qin Feiyang clenched his fists tightly. He would never doubt the words of the small beast. Nor would they doubt its ability. The grievance in his heart almost drove him crazy. Don't look like you want to eat me. This seal is the same as the previous one. It won't prevent you from entering the castle. But there is a difference. Last time, I only used 1/10 of my strength to seal the castle. This time, I used half of my strength. Which is half of my strength. If you can still break the seal, then Grandpa Frog will admit that you are indeed not bad, and will not seal it in the future. The small beast said. What? Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. The seal last time only used 1/10 of its strength? I'll tell you one more time. The black dragon below just died not long ago. The small beast smiled at Qin Feiyang playfully, and then disappeared with the green foxtail in its mouth. Just died not long ago? Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked down at the black dragon. What did the small beast mean by that? Wait. Destiny contract. Every dragon would immediately sign a destiny contract with the ancestral dragon of their clan the moment they were born. For example, the Fire Dragon clan. If a baby dragon was born, it would immediately sign a destiny contract with the ancestral dragon of the Fire Dragon clan. As a result, the ancestral dragon of each clan could sense the life and death of their clansman through the destiny contract. In other words, the ancestral dragon of the Black Dragon clan must have sensed the death of the black dragon in front of him. Perhaps, they were already on their way here. This bastard small beast. Qin Feiyang understood this point, and his eyes immediately lit up with monstrous anger. This was obviously trying to frame him. No. With his current relationship with the dragon clan, even without the little golden beast, he would definitely be suspected of being the culprit. Wait. Just as Qin Feiyang was about to leave, he suddenly frowned. He remembered that 10 days ago, All the ancestral dragons were seriously injured by the ancient castle. The blonde and silver-haired youth were only left with fragmented divine souls. Such serious injuries should not be able to recover so quickly. In other words, the ancestral dragon of the Black Dragon clan may have only sent members of other dragons to check. Could this be an opportunity to collect some interest? Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and a very crazy idea rose in his mind. He glanced around and disappeared in a flash. Black Tortoise Realm. Fire Lotus was tending to the medicine field. Qin Feiyang walked over and said, "Lend me your axe again." "What are you going to do?" Fire Lotus raised her head and looked at him suspiciously. "Collect interest." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. "Then you have to be careful." Fire Lotus warned, took out the axe and handed it to Qin Feiyang. "Don't worry. I will act according to the circumstances." Qin Feiyang smiled, took the axe, left the Black Tortoise Realm, and appeared on the boulder again. "Why is there a black dragon?" The artifact spirit was surprised. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation. "I originally thought that after merging with the Black Tortoise Realm, with the strength of the ancient castle, it would be enough for you to run rampant in the divine continent. But I didn't expect that before I had time to be happy, I would be sealed again." The artifact spirit sighed regretfully. "That damn small beast, sooner or later I will make it pay the price." Qin Feiyang coldly scoffed. "It won't be that easy. If it wasn't lying, then the last time it sealed the ancient castle, it really only used 1/10 of its power. Then it's easy to imagine how terrifying its strength is." The artifact spirit said. "That's right. The reason it was able to break the seal this time was because of the golden sword. And at that time, the golden sword had already unsealed itself and fully awakened. In other words, small beast's 1/10 power is already comparable to a divine artifact that has unsealed itself. It's hard to imagine how strong it really is." Qin Feiyang said. 1/10 was already so terrifying, then what about 1/2? How could there be such a powerful existence in this world? This was completely beyond his imagination. "Forget it, don't think about it. I don't understand even if I think about it. Only when you reach its level will you be able to understand its true strength." The artifact spirit said. Qin Feiyang nodded, took a deep breath, and glanced at the mountains and rivers in front of him. The mountains and rivers were all destroyed, the field of vision was very wide, and there was no ideal hiding place. "Why don't we go to the ancient castle?" The artifact spirit suggested. Hiding in the ancient castle, whether it was hiding or attacking, it was very convenient. "No. What if the dragon's princess and Long Zun also follow? Especially Long Zun. Mastering the power of the law of space, she can easily enter the ancient castle. Once she finds out that we are hiding in the ancient castle, it's tantamount to a turtle in a jar. So, we have to leave a way out for ourselves." Qin Feiyang whispered. No matter what he did now, he couldn't be the slightest bit careless. He had to be foolproof, otherwise, he would end up with his body crushed. He didn't want to die yet. He also didn't want to implicate White-Eyed Wolf, Fire Lotus, and the others. Qin Feiyang suddenly pointed to a broken mountain on the left and said, "Go to that mountain peak." "Up to you." The artifact spirit said. Qin Feiyang took a step and landed on the mountain peak, turning to look at the coast. This place was about 1/2 mile away from the coast. A distance of 1/2 mile, with his current cultivation, was only a step away. Besides, the one who would make a move later would not be him, but the axe. With the speed of the axe, taking advantage of the unprepared sneak attack, the other party might not even be able to react. But standing on the mountain peak, it was too conspicuous. Qin Feiyang walked to the edge of the cliff and looked down. Halfway up the mountain, he found a crack. This crack must have been caused by the power of the divine weapon 10 days ago. Qin Feiyang swooped down and entered the crack. Looking around, he was quite satisfied. The top, bottom, left, and right were all sealed, with only one entrance in front of him. As long as he hid here and didn't make a sound, coupled with the concealment of the divine moon jade pendant, as long as he wasn't seen by the dragons with his own eyes, he wouldn't be discovered. Then Qin Feiyang stayed in the crack, restraining his aura, his eyes firmly locked onto the coast. Time passed by. Shwa. Finally, 3 figures appeared in the sky above the coast. They were 3 middle-aged men. The man standing in the middle was about 1.8 meters tall, with a thin body, a cold face, and a sharp light in his eyes. The other 2 were 2 big men, about 2 meters tall. They looked extremely strong and burly, like 2 small giants. The aura emitted by the 2 was also inferior to the thin middle-aged man. However, in Qin Feiyang's eyes, they were extremely powerful. Judging from their aura, they were definitely at the peak of the 9th heaven realm. As for the thin middle-aged man's aura, it was comparable to Huiyi's. Obviously, he was a half-step undying realm expert. The 3 of them looked around, and when they saw the dead black dragon below, their eyes suddenly became cold. It's really dead. Judging from the wound, it was killed in 1 blow. This Qin Feiyang's strength can't be underestimated. The thin middle-aged man called the 10th elder said in a deep voice. The 2 big men nodded. It seems that he has been hiding in this sea area for the past 10 days, but now, he may have already entered the divine land. Take its body and go back to report to Lord Ancestral Dragon. I, the elder, will be overseeing this place. The 10th elder said, a cold light flashing in his eyes. The 2 big men looked at each other. One of them said, 10th elder, if Qin Feiyang has really entered the divine land, it seems meaningless for you to stay here. The 10th elder said, it's just my guess that he has entered the divine land. Maybe he is still hiding in this sea area. Okay then. The 2 nodded and swooped down, sweeping toward the black dragon. Do it. At this moment, Qin Feiyang secretly shouted. The axe floating next to him immediately broke through the air like a bolt of lightning. Who is it? The 2 big men didn't react. However, the 10th elder immediately sensed the aura of the axe and let out a loud shout. The person who wants your life. The weapon's spirit sneered, and the rust on the axe immediately fell off. Like colorful butterflies, it flooded the sky and surged toward the 3. Chapter 23:33. Ah! Accompanied by 2 blood-curdling screams, the bodies of the 2 burly men were riddled with holes like sieves. There were also several bloody holes on their heads, penetrating from front to back, and blood was gushing out. Damn it! The 10th elder roared angrily. Divine power rolled out, blasting away the surrounding rust, and rushed in front of the 2 men. 10th elder, run! The 2 burly men said in despair, and then fell to the ground, dead. Their souls had been shattered by the rust. At the same time, the 2 men also recovered their true forms, which were 2 black dragons hundreds of feet long. I, the dragons, will not let you go. The 10th elder suddenly raised his head, stared at the axe, roared, and then turned into a stream of light, ready to escape. The 10th elder of the Black Dragon clan, killing you should be a big loss for the dragons. The artifact spirit smiled coldly, and the rust divine light formed a barrier of several feet, firmly trapping the 10th elder inside. What's the use of killing me? If you have the ability, go find the Ancestral Dragon and Lord Dragon Sovereign. The Great Elder roared. Don't worry, we will find them sooner or later. At this time, Qin Feiyang walked out of the crack. You are indeed nearby. The 10th elder immediately looked at Qin Feiyang, his eyes full of resentment. Yes. I'm here to collect interest. Qin Feiyang said. The 10th elder's face was gloomy. This child and the dragons were already like fire and water, and would definitely not let him go. What to do? He didn't expect that Qin Feiyang would be so daring. Generally speaking, no matter who it was, when facing the dragons, they would run away at the first moment. Because the strength of the dragons was enough to make anyone fear and despair. However, this person did the exact opposite. Not only did the person who killed his dragons not escape, but he also ambushed here, catching him off guard. Qin Feiyang said, "Answer a few of my questions, and I can consider leaving you an intact corpse." The 10th elder was taken aback. His eyes flashed as he asked, "What's the problem?" Qin Feiyang said, "First question, but speaking of this." His words came to an abrupt halt. The 10th elder looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang suddenly looked at Fu Tu and shouted, "Quickly kill him and leave this place." The 10th elder's body suddenly shook. The artifact spirit was slightly taken aback and asked in confusion, "Don't you have something to ask him? We can't delay any longer. Because the 2 black dragons have already been killed. The ancestral dragon of the Black Dragon clan must have sensed their deaths. If we don't kill the 3 black dragons one after another, the ancestral dragon will definitely send stronger people to investigate. So, we have to get rid of him immediately and leave." Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Damn it, when the 10th elder heard this, he immediately cursed in his heart. That was right. Originally, he was already in despair. But when he heard that Qin Feiyang had a question to ask him, he couldn't help but have a glimmer of hope in his heart. Because as Qin Feiyang said, when the ancestral dragon sensed the death of the 2 black dragons through the fate contract, he would definitely immediately send stronger people to support. So, he pretended to answer, but in fact, he was just stalling for time. When the support arrived, not only could he escape, but he could also take down Qin Feiyang. Taking down Qin Feiyang would be a great merit. But he didn't expect Qin Feiyang to realize this so quickly. What should he do now? Although he was a half-step immortal realm expert, in the face of a heaven-defying divine artifact, and a heaven-defying divine artifact that could unseal itself at any time, he had no confidence at all. At the same time, when the artifact spirit heard Qin Feiyang's words, he immediately understood and released a destructive power, shattering the sky and slashing towards the 10th elder. "I'll die with you." The 10th elder's eyes trembled as he suddenly roared. Immediately, a destructive aura also rushed out of his body. Self-destruction? Qin Feiyang was shocked. He was a half-step immortal realm expert after all. Didn't he know how to struggle? But on second thought, he understood. In the face of a heaven-defying divine artifact, there was indeed no point in struggling. Because it was useless. No matter how he struggled, he would still die. But in the face of the 10th elder's self-destruction, the artifact spirit didn't panic at all. Instead, he had a disdainful attitude. Clang! The axe shone brightly and instantly arrived. Boom! With a deafening explosion, the 10th elder's body was torn apart in the void. Dragon blood dyed the sky red. "I swear, I won't let you go." A furious roar filled with hatred echoed in the air. Then, a beam of black light shot out from the shattered crown of the 10th elder's head. It was a small dragon. It was only about half a meter long and its eyes were full of fear. That's right. This was the divine soul of the 10th elder. As soon as the divine soul appeared, it flew away without looking back. "You actually want to run away in front of me? Are you daydreaming?" The artifact spirit laughed disdainfully and was about to kill. But at this moment, boom! An extremely terrifying dragon might descended upon this world with a loud bang. "It's Longzuan?" Qin Feiyang was startled and hurriedly looked up, but he immediately let out a sigh of relief. The person who came wasn't Longzuan, but a middle-aged man in black with a black crown. He was like a king who had descended. His eyes were like torches and his hands were behind his back. His 7-foot-long body was like a sharp blade, emitting a shocking sharpness. When the 10th elder saw this person, it was as if he had seen a life-saving straw. He flew toward the black-robed man while shouting, "Patriarch, save me!" "Patriarch?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. The Black Dragon clan, in addition to the ancestral dragon, had another patriarch? And the aura that this person emitted was even stronger than the 10th elders. It seemed that he was already a terrifying existence that surpassed the half-step immortal realm. Great, buy one get one free. The artifact spirit didn't take it to heart at all. What he meant was that he planned to kill the patriarch of the Black Dragon clan as well. So it's you. I was wondering who had the guts to kill the people of the dragons. The black-robed man looked at Qin Feiyang and the axe with a strong cold light in his eyes. The 10th elder's divine soul flew to the black-robed man's side and said, "Patriarch, be careful. The seal on that divine weapon will be unsealed at any time. Don't worry." Ancestral Dragon was afraid that there would be an accident before coming, so he gave the divine weapon to me. The black-robed man waved his hand. "You also brought a divine weapon?" The 10th elder's divine soul was startled and surprised. "Yes." The black-robed man nodded. Boom. Then a monstrous divine might appeared like a volcanic eruption. Then a black iron fan flew out of the black-robed man's body and floated in the air, emitting a dazzling light. When Qin Feiyang saw the iron fan, his pupils constricted. He had seen this thing before. It was indeed the ancestral dragon of the Black Dragon clan. The 10th elder was overjoyed. Looking at Qin Feiyang and the axe, he also became arrogant and said, "Your end is here." Humph. The artifact spirit snorted and immediately charged towards the black-robed man. The black-robed man glanced at the axe and then looked at Qin Feiyang, who was standing in the distance. There was not much joy on his face, but a trace of worry. The 10th elder urged, "Lord Patriarch, quickly exterminate him." "Shut up. Don't you know how Ancestral Dragon and the others were seriously injured?" The black-robed man secretly shouted. Hearing this, the great elder's expression suddenly froze. Then a chill that could not be dissolved rose in his heart. That's right. This kid not only had a divine weapon, but also an ancient castle. And it was an ancient castle that was even more terrifying than a divine weapon. I will hold them back first. You go and inform Lord Dragon Sovereign immediately. Only Lord Dragon Sovereign has a way to deal with him. The black-robed man took out an interspatial ring and threw it to the divine soul of the 10th elder. Then he grabbed the iron fan and faced the axe. Yes. I have to inform Lord Dragon Sovereign immediately. The divine soul of the 10th elder glanced at Qin Feiyang and immediately grabbed the interspatial ring, took out a teleportation altar and quickly revived. Although he was only left with his divine soul, at his level of cultivation, he could easily revive the altar. To this, Qin Feiyang and the axe did not stop him. The axe had no time to split himself. Qin Feiyang did not have this ability. Just a wisp of the divine soul of the 10th elder was enough to kill him in an instant. As for the killing zone, it was too late to open it now. The most important thing now was not to chase after the 10th elder's divine soul, but to find a chance to escape. Otherwise, when Dragon Sovereign came, the situation would be even more dangerous. Damn small beast. Qin Feiyang could not help but hate the golden small beast. If it had not sealed the ancient castle, what was the patriarch of the Black Dragon clan? Wait. The small beast had sealed the ancient castle. Was it doing this to help the dragons? Because the changes in the ancient castle had posed a great threat to the dragons, it had to seal it again? In that case, was the small beast related to the dragons? Suddenly, he thought of Ice Dragon. Ice Dragon was also a divine dragon. Could it be one of the dragons? No. If the golden small beast and Ice Dragon were really in cahoots with the dragons, then why didn't they just kill him? Moreover, Ice Dragon had saved his life after he had opened the gate of reincarnation. What was the reason? Just as Qin Feiyang was pondering, the teleportation altar had been activated and the divine soul of the 10th elder immediately flew up. But at this moment, boom! Another powerful aura descended. Qin Feiyang was immediately awakened. He looked up and saw a man in black armor standing above the teleportation altar. He was covered in black armor and wore a black mask on his face. Only a pair of dark eyes, like a pair of eagle eyes, were shining with an incomparably sharp light. Moreover, the aura he exuded was not inferior to the patriarch of the Black Dragon clan. Who is it? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Could it be another patriarch of the dragons? It's you. But just as this thought came to his mind, the 10th elder exclaimed. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked at the divine soul of the 10th elder and saw that his expression was full of fear. What was going on? Why was he so scared? Could it be that he was not one of the dragons? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned his head to look at the man in black who was fighting with the axe and found that there was a trace of panic on his face. It seemed that this mysterious man in black armor was not one of the dragons. But if he was not one of the dragons, then which force did he belong to? Was he an enemy or a friend? Chapter 23:34. At the same time. The black armor man glanced at Fu Tu and the black-clothed man, then looked at Qin Feiyang. There was no fluctuation in his deep eyes. Immediately after, he took a step forward and grabbed the 10th elder's divine soul. What do you want to do? The 10th elder roared in horror. Kill you. The black armor man said indifferently. With a sudden clench of his big hand, the 10th elder's soul suddenly shattered with a wail. The teleportation altar was also smashed into pieces by his foot. Qin Feiyang looked at this scene in horror. As an elder-level existence, he must have a very high status among the dragons. Even in this part of the divine great land, he might have great prestige. But this person did not hesitate to shatter the first elder's soul. Moreover, he did it in front of the Black Dragon clan patriarch. Isn't this tantamount to provoking the dragons? The revered dragons ruled China and the ancient world. Who would not be afraid of them? This person actually dares to be an enemy of the dragons. What is his background? Wait. Could he be one of the ancestors? Because as far as he knew, only the ancestors were fighting against the dragons in the ancient world. But he wasn't sure. Because he knew nothing about China. He couldn't tell whether this person was an enemy or a friend. After shattering the 10th elder's soul, the black armor man was still like a pool of stagnant water. Swish. Suddenly, he stepped in front of Qin Feiyang. His dark eyes were like two sharp swords, sharp and threatening. Qin Feiyang instinctively retreated. The black armor man did not chase after him. He looked at Qin Feiyang indifferently and said, "Did you bring them?" Qin Feiyang was taken aback. The black armor man said, "Demon ancestor, Dong Xingyang, Lin Yi." When Qin Feiyang heard it, a hint of joy crept up his face and asked, "Don't ask. You just need to answer my question." The black armor man said. Qin Feiyang was stunned. What a cold person. He nodded and said, "I brought them. Leave them to me." The black-armored man said. "Leave it to you?" Qin Feiyang frowned. What did he mean by that? "Hurry up," the black-armored man urged. He was a man of few words. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but become angry as he asked, "If I hand the Devil Ancestors group over to you, then what about me?" "I don't know." The black-armored man shook his head. "What does don't know mean?" Qin Feiyang said angrily. "This is the Ancestors' order. I'm just following orders." The black-armored man said. "Sovereign?" Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "My ancestor?" The black-armored man nodded. "The ancestor only allowed you to take the devil ancestor and the others away?" Qin Feiyang asked again. "Yes." The black-armored man said. "Why?" The anger in Qin Feiyang's heart rose again. "I don't know." The black-armored man shook his head and answered mechanically. "You want to dismiss me with a mere, 'I don't know'? Let me tell you, if you don't tell me the truth today, I won't let you take them away. Qin Feiyang was furious. Why did he come all the way to the ancient world? Wasn't it to find the ancestor? Now that he had finally found them, they didn't care about him. Even people like Mu Tianyang and the devil ancestor were more important than him. This made him feel extremely unbalanced. I'm just following orders. If you have any questions, you can ask the ancestor in the future. Don't make things difficult for me. The black-armored man was unmoved and was still so cold. Qin Feiyang's expression was uncertain. The black-armored man said, "The death of the 10th elder will alarm the ancestor. There's no time to delay." Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly, looked at the black-armored man, and asked, "Do you have proof?" The black-armored man waved his hand, and a jade pendant appeared. The jade pendant was half the size of a baby's palm, shaped like a divine dragon, and was purple gold in color. "You should recognize this thing," the black-armored man said. Qin Feiyang took the jade pendant, looked at it carefully for a while, and nodded, yes. Then, he took out an identical jade pendant from his cosmos ring. The two jade pendants were inlaid together, and became a complete and flawless jade pendant. It was the double dragon pendant. He had obtained the twin dragon pendants from a jade artifact shop. According to the owner of the jade shop, the double dragon pendant had a magical power. Once separated, it could sense the location of the other party. So, Qin Feiyang gave one to the mermaid princess and kept one for himself. And at that time, he also used this double dragon pendant to formally confess to the mermaid princess. Speaking of this double dragon pendant, it was a token of love between him and the mermaid princess. He naturally wouldn't forget such an important thing. Similarly, the mermaid princess definitely wouldn't give this jade pendant to others. So, the black-armored man's identity should be no problem. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath, handed the jade pendant to the black-armored man, and said, "Remember to give it back to her." And the black-armored man put away the jade pendant. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and 4 figures appeared. They were Demon Ancestor, Demon Dragon, Dong Zhengyang, and Zhang Xiaoyang. The black-armored man glanced at Demon Ancestor and the other 3, then looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "Where is Lin Yi?" "Don't worry about her. She's doing better than us," Qin Feiyang said. "Okay." The black-armored man nodded. With a wave of his hand, Demon Ancestor and the other 3 disappeared immediately. Then, he turned around, and a fiery red bead appeared in his hand. It was as big as an adult's fist. A purple gold divine dragon pattern surrounded the fire bead. As soon as this fire bead appeared, a destructive power immediately roared out. Boom! Immediately after, the black-armored man took the fire bead and charged toward the black-clothed man. This aura, Qin Feiyang stared at the battle sword in the black-armored man's hand with a hint of surprise in his eyes. The aura exuded by the fire bead made him feel very familiar. It seems to be, that's right. It was the heaven-defying artifact that he encountered when he fought with the fire dragon in the deepest part of the Sky Dragon Sea. It was just that at that time, this artifact turned into a scorching sun, and he couldn't see its true appearance. So until now, he knew that the ancestor's heaven-defying artifact looked like this. Boom! The black-armored man took the fire bead and charged into the battlefield. He repelled the axe with one palm and said, "Take Qin Feiyang and leave immediately." "Where to?" The artifact spirit was suspicious. "Anywhere," the black-armored man said without looking back. "Well, you take care." After the artifact spirit finished speaking, he turned around and rushed to Qin Feiyang. A 5-color divine light sprinkled, rolled up Qin Feiyang, and flew away like lightning. "Don't even think about it," the black-clothed man shouted, wanting to pursue. "With me here, do you still have a chance to chase after them?" The black-armored man grabbed the fire bead and slapped at the black-clothed man, a terrifying aura shattering in all directions. "You all deserve to die," the black-clothed man roared, and the iron fan blew up a pitch-black storm, blasting toward the fire bead. Humph! The black-armored man snorted expressionlessly, and the two heaven-defying artifacts collided. Although the seal was not broken, it was enough to destroy heaven and earth. The earth crazily cracked. Abyssal cracks spread toward the end of heaven and earth like a spider web. The sea also set off huge waves that covered the sky. In the distance, Qin Feiyang looked back in the direction of the coast with a trace of worry in his eyes. Don't worry. Since he dares to stay, he must have the confidence to escape. The artifact spirit comforted. I hope so. Qin Feiyang whispered and asked, where are we going next? You're asking me? Who should I ask? I know nothing about the divine great land. The artifact spirit was speechless. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Wasn't this like a headless fly? After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang said, then let's go find someone first and understand the situation of the divine land before making the next step of the plan. Okay. The artifact spirit responded and was silent for a while before asking, do you have a problem with your ancestor? Qin Feiyang sighed and said, it would be a lie to say no. According to my understanding of him, I think he should have other reasons for doing this. The artifact spirit guessed. You know him? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Of course. Back then, I almost died in battle for him. How can I not know him? The artifact spirit said. Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback and smiled bitterly. I was negligent and forgot about this. After that, Qin Feiyang asked, then tell me, why did my ancestor do this? This is his idea. How would I know? But I know one thing, he will definitely not harm you. The artifact spirit said. I know this too. Qin Feiyang was speechless. In short, don't think so much now. Think about how to establish a foothold in the divine land first. The artifact spirit said. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and lowered his head to ponder. On the coast, the black-clothed man and the black-armored man had separated. The black-armored man looked at the black-clothed man and said, you know, you can't kill me. Yes. I really can't kill you. But the death of the 10th elder must have alarmed the ancestral dragon. So now, I just need to hold you back and wait for the arrival of the ancestral dragon. The black-clothed man said. The black-armored man said, I'm afraid the ancestral dragon has no time to care about this now. What do you mean? The black-clothed man raised his eyebrows. All the ancestral dragons have been seriously injured by the ancient castle. Now, except for you, there is only the ancestral dragon. What do you think will happen if the ancestral dragon leads people to the ancestral land of the dragons at this time? The black-armored man said, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. What? The black-clothed man was shocked and asked, Qin Batian brought people to our ancestral land? Yes. The ancestral dragon and I split up. I came to find Qin Feiyang. The ancestral dragon went to your ancestral land. Of course. With the ancestral dragon's current strength, it is impossible for him to be the ancestral dragon's opponent. But I believe that the ancestral dragon can still destroy your ancestral land and greatly damage the vitality of the dragons. So the ancestral dragon has no time to care about you now. The black-armored man said. Damn it. The black-clothed man cursed and immediately opened an altar to leave. You really believe it? The black-armored man was stunned, shook his head and mocked, what an idiot. Obviously. There was no such thing at all. This was just his escape plan. Then, the black-armored man also opened an altar and quickly left. Not long after the black-armored man left, probably less than 10 breaths, two figures descended in the sky above the coast. It was the ancestral dragon and the dragon's princess. Where is he? The mother and daughter glanced around, their faces full of suspicion. The dragon's princess frowned and said, the battle fluctuations are still there. They should have just left. What's going on? Didn't the Black Dragon's patriarch bring a heaven-defying artifact? Did he let Qin Feiyang go? The ancestral dragon clenched his hands, and a bone-chilling cold current surged out from his body. Chapter 23:35. Swish. Not long after, a figure appeared. It was the man in black who had returned. After discovering that he had been deceived, he immediately returned, wanting to settle the score with the black-armored man. In fact, he had already thought that the black-armored man would definitely take the opportunity to leave. But he still had a trace of luck in his heart. However, when he landed on the coast again, he saw Long Zun and Princess Dragons. At that moment, he became nervous and bowed. "Greetings to Lord Long Zun, greetings to your highness." "Where's Qin Feiyang?" Long Zun turned around and looked at the man in black. His eyes, which were covered by mist, flickered with an astonishing cold light. "Lord, I'm sorry, The man in black knelt in front of Long Zun, his face full of panic. "Speak!" Long Zun coldly shouted. The man in black trembled and quickly told him what had happened, not daring to hide anything. Because he knew Long Zun's temper too well. Once he lied and was found out by Long Zun, even if he was the patriarch of the Black Dragon clan, he would still die. No matter who pleaded, it was useless. "You were deceived by him just like that?" Princess Dragons was stunned. "I'm stupid. Please forgive me, Lord Long Zun, your highness." The man in black was terrified. "You're really stupid. Although the ancestral dragons are seriously injured, Qin Batian dares to kill our clan? Trash." Long Zun was furious and slapped the man in black's face. The man in black was sent flying by the slap. His face was lacerated and blood flowed out. "Lord, please spare my life." But in this regard, the man in black did not dare to complain at all. He quickly got up and, ignoring his injuries, ran to Long Zun and knelt down, kowtowing and begging for mercy. Long Zun coldly said, "We dragons don't need trash." When the man in black heard this, his body trembled violently. He quickly looked at Princess Dragons and said, "Your Highness, please help me." Princess Dragons glanced at him and looked at Long Zun. "Mother," he was confused for a moment, "that's why he was deceived by the other party. Please forgive him this time." Long Zun remained silent. Princess Dragons continued, "Besides, he was also concerned about the safety of the clan, so it's understandable." The black-robed man knelt at the side with his head lowered, feeling extremely uneasy. "All right." Long Zun remained silent for a long time before he finally spoke. "I'll let you off this time, but if there's a next time." The black-clothed man was overjoyed. He hurriedly said, "Don't worry, my lord. There definitely won't be a next time." "That better be the case." Long Zun snorted coldly. The black-clothed man looked at Princess Dragons and said gratefully, "Thank you, your highness, for saving my life." Princess Dragons smiled and said, "It's fine. Get up quickly. I still have something to ask you." The black-clothed man stood up, his legs somewhat weak. It could be seen that he was truly frightened. The dragon princess asked, "When you were fighting, did the castle appear?" "No." The black-clothed man shook his head. "No?" Princess Dragons frowned. If he had such a powerful divine artifact, why not use it? "Are you sure?" Long Zun asked. "Yes." The black-clothed man nodded. "Mother, there's no need to doubt this. Because if the castle appeared, he would definitely have turned into a corpse." Princess Dragon said. Long Zun nodded, feeling extremely puzzled in his heart. With Qin Feiyang's hatred for the dragons, once there was a chance, he would never show mercy. But why didn't he use the castle? Afraid of harming the innocent? But no matter how he looked at it, this child wasn't such a kind and benevolent person. Because every time he opened the slaughter domain, he had to slaughter countless creatures. It could be said that this child was more cold-blooded and cruel than anyone else. Princess Dragons pondered for a while, looked at the black-clothed man, and asked, "Where did they escape to?" "Over there." The black-clothed man pointed in the direction where Qin Feiyang and Fu Tu escaped. "They have already entered the Divine Land." Princess Dragons looked over, pondered for a moment, shook her head and sighed. "It's not easy to find him now. But no matter what, we have to find him. In short, he must die." Long Zun said. The castle's threat to the dragons was too great. As long as she didn't get rid of it, her heart wouldn't be at peace. "Mother, leave this matter to me. I will think of a way to find him." Princess Dragons was silent for a while, looked at Long Zun and said, "You?" Long Zun's tone was filled with doubt. Princess Dragons hugged Long Zun's arm and said coquettishly, "Just believe in your daughter this time, I promise to find him." Okay. But for safety's sake, I have to leave a killing intent in your sea of consciousness." Long Zun said. "Okay." Princess Dragons nodded. Long Zun waved his hand. An ray of milky white divine light immediately swept into Princess Dragons' forehead. Immediately. Long Zun looked at the black-clothed man again, and said coldly, "Immediately inform all the patriarchs to wait for the princess's orders." "Yes." The black-clothed man respectfully replied. Princess Dragons looked at Long Zun, then raised her head to look in the direction that Qin Feiyang had fled, and muttered, "Just you wait, new and old debts, I will find you to settle them all." 5 days later. In the sky above a certain mountain range, a dark-skinned young man flashed past like a bolt of lightning and landed on top of a mountain. He was about 1.7 meters tall, with his upper body exposed. He wore a pair of black pants, and his muscles were bulging, emitting a valiant aura. That's right. He was Qin Feiyang. The axe had already returned to Fire Lotus's side. He had also changed his appearance once again. Along the way, all he saw were tragic scenes. The earth was shattered, and life was in a terrible situation. For 5 whole days, he didn't meet a single living person. However, when he arrived here, it began to gradually improve. The mountains and rivers were still full of devastation, but from time to time, one could see a large green tree. In some places, there was also grass growing tenaciously. This meant that the battle that day had almost ended here. Qin Feiyang stood on top of the mountain, looking at the mountains and rivers in front of him. Although he still couldn't find a single living person within his sight, but further away, he could already see a green land. There must be people there. Even if there was no one, there must be fierce beasts. Retracting his gaze, Qin Feiyang lowered his head again, looking at the divine moon jade pendant on his neck. This was something that had to be concealed. Because Long Zun and Princess Dragons had both seen the divine moon jade pendant. If they saw it, they would definitely be able to guess his identity from the divine moon jade pendant. After thinking about it, Qin Feiyang took out a black robe from the Qinkuan ring and put it on. The divine moon jade pendant was also hidden under the robe. "I hope I don't meet dragons again." Muttering, Qin Feiyang rose into the air, turned into a stream of light, and continued to rush forward. About half an hour later, he finally entered a green mountain. The trees were luxuriant with branches and leaves, towering into the sky. The thick vines were entwined like dragons. On the ground, there were weeds and bushes everywhere. In the mountain, there was also a river dozens of meters wide. The turbulent river water flowed downwards. And in the mountains and forests, he could already see many fierce beasts. There were lions. There were cheetahs. There were giant tigers. There were also flying insects and poisonous snakes. In the sky, he could also see huge fierce birds from time to time. This place was completely different from the places Qin Feiyang had been before. It was full of vitality and vitality. Don't say it. These days, he had been facing the dry sea area and the lifeless and hole-riddled earth all day long. Now, when he saw the vibrant scene in front of him, Qin Feiyang was still a little excited. That kind of mood was like a desert that had been dry for a long time and finally welcomed rain. Chirp. Suddenly, a sharp cry broke Qin Feiyang's happy mood. He saw a black falcon rushing out of the mountains below. When it spread its wings, it was hundreds of feet long, covering the sky and the sun. Its whole body exuded an astonishing fierce aura. That pair of enormous eyes stared at Qin Feiyang with a frightening ominous glint in them. A divine lord, Qin Feiyang whispered, a little surprised. He didn't expect that the first creature he encountered after entering the divine land was a fierce beast at the level of a divine lord. It seemed that the overall strength of the divine land was much stronger than that of the North region and the other 3 regions. The falcon stared at Qin Feiyang as if it was looking at its prey. As the 2 enormous wings flapped, a violent gust of wind blew in this area. "I'm afraid you found the wrong target." Qin Feiyang looked at the falcon and suddenly smiled. A wisp of blood appeared in his palm. A monstrous murderous aura suddenly swept in all directions like a storm. Kill formula. The falcon was also shocked by the sudden murderous aura. It quickly stopped in the void and looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. But Qin Feiyang suddenly frowned. He clenched his 5 fingers, and the wisp of blood immediately dissipated. Ever since he entered the ancient world, the enemies he faced were all beyond what he could deal with. So all along, when facing enemies, he had basically used the 6-word divine formula or the power of heaven-defying divine weapons. As a result, he had almost forgotten about the Dragon God technique, Guiyuan sword technique, Sun and Moon eclipse, Fire Phoenix technique, 3,000 incarnations, and so on. The 6-word divine formula and heaven-defying divine weapons were indeed very powerful, but these were all life-saving means. He didn't have to always rely on them. So he made a last-minute decision. From this moment on, unless it was a matter of life and death, he was determined not to use these trump cards. No matter how big the crisis was, he had to rely on his own ability to solve it and fight. In this way, not only could he train himself and strengthen his combat awareness, but he could also slowly improve the grade of other divine formulas. For example, the Dragon God technique was now a peak-level divine formula. It couldn't be stuck at the peak-level divine formula for the rest of its life. It could still continue to improve. For example, the legendary level. For example, a level higher than the legendary level. Perhaps one day, it could even reach the level of the 6-word divine formula. And all of this was just wishful thinking. He couldn't think of it. He needed to work hard. Looking at the falcon again. It stared at Qin Feiyang with a trace of suspicion in its fierce eyes. What was going on? Why did that murderous aura suddenly disappear? Could it be that it was an illusion earlier? The murderous aura actually didn't exist at all? With that thought, the fierce light in the falcon's eyes appeared again. But it didn't let down its guard. It tentatively attacked and pounced at Qin Feiyang. Chapter 23:36. But even if it was just a test, he did not hold back at all. The 2 huge eagle claws were like sharp blades, emitting a sharp aura that could tear the sky and earth apart. Even if I don't activate the 6-word divine art, it's still easy to kill a mere divine lord like you. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. Clang! Accompanied by a loud noise, 2 flaming sword shadows appeared out of nowhere. Guiyuan sword technique. As Qin Feiyang waved his hand, the 2 sword shadows cut through the sky and collided with the eagle claws. Boom! Immediately, the falcon was blasted away, and a wound appeared on its 2 claws, with blood gushing out. However, the 2 sword shadows were also shattered. After all, it's only a middle-grade divine art, not as strong as my physical body. Qin Feiyang shook his head, took a step forward, and directly raised his fist and smashed at the falcon. Too arrogant. Too arrogant. The falcon roared. The physical quality of a beast was naturally higher than that of a human. But the person in front of it actually wanted to fight with it. Wasn't this courting death? Since it wanted to die, then it would not be polite. Boom! It immediately rushed towards Qin Feiyang, and the bleeding eagle claws shattered a large part of the void. Qin Feiyang didn't retreat at all and punched out. Clang! When the fist landed on the falcon's sharp claws, an ear-piercing metallic sound was actually produced. The pair of eagle claws seemed to be made of divine iron. However, no matter how hard the eagle claws were, they could not withstand the power of Qin Feiyang's punch. With a crack, one of the eagle claws shattered on the spot. The falcon screamed in pain, flapped its wings, and frantically fled for its life. Its fierce eyes were filled with horror. But more than that, it was in disbelief. How could a human's physical strength be so terrifying? One must know that Qin Feiyang's current physical strength was comparable to a high-grade divine artifact. Even if it was a supreme-grade divine artifact, he dared to fight with his bare hands. As for Falcon's cultivation level, it was only a small realm higher than his. Even though his physical body was naturally stronger than a human's, he could not withstand the punch. It did not dare to continue fighting. Its body quickly shrank, and with a dive, it disappeared into the forest below. He escaped just like that? Qin Feiyang was stunned. In any case, it was a ferocious bird by nature. How could it not have a temper? However, this confrontation made him even more certain of his previous thoughts. He no longer relied on the power of the 6 words divine formula and the heaven-defying divine artifact. Just like the Guiyuan sword technique. What was the use of a mid-tier divine formula? Even in the northern region, no one would take a second look at a divine incantation of this level, let alone in the divine land. Therefore, it was necessary to raise the grade of these godly techniques. Otherwise, when facing the dragons in the future, these godly techniques would not be of any use. How unlucky. It wasn't easy to meet a human. I didn't expect him to be so strong. In the forest below, a palm-sized bird flapped its wings as it flew forward while complaining. It was that falcon. The shattered claws were still bleeding. I must take revenge for this. Falcon lowered its head and looked at its claws. The hostility in its eyes grew stronger. Then, it passed through the forest and flew straight toward a giant peak in the distance. The peak of the mountain was covered with rocks and weeds. On one side of the peak, there was a sparkling and translucent small tree. The small tree was about half a meter tall and had 3 branches. The leaves on them were extremely small. But the strange thing was, whether it was the trunk or the leaves, they were all black and gray. And at the top of the 3 branches, there were 3 black and gray fruits. The 3 fruits were about the size of a pigeon's egg. They were surrounded by wisps of black and gray mist, looking rather mysterious. Beside the small tree, there were 2 falcons. One was golden. The other was white. They were not big in size, but the aura they exuded was much stronger than the black falcon that Qin Feiyang had encountered before. They lay in the grass beside the small tree, with their heads buried, as if they were taking a nap. Big brother, second brother, I was bullied. Suddenly, with a piercing sound, the black falcon flew to the peak of the mountain and shouted at the golden and white falcons. The 2 falcons opened their eyes and looked at the black falcon suspiciously. When they saw the shattered claws, their eyes immediately shone with a fierce light. Who bullied you? They flew in front of the black falcon and said in a deep voice. The black falcon turned around and scanned the void. Soon, it saw a dark-skinned young man in black flying over. That's right. He was Qin Feiyang. But he didn't know that the black falcon had also come here. The black falcon raised its wings, pointed at Qin Feiyang, and said resentfully, "It's him. There's actually a human? Since half a month ago, when that terrifying wave of air hit, I haven't seen a single human. I can finally eat meat." The golden falcon and the white falcon were very excited. It was like seeing a delicious cake. Even his saliva was dripping out. The golden falcon asked, "Third brother, how is his strength?" His physical body is very strong and his strength is also very terrifying. My claws were shattered by his punch. But his divine technique is very weak. It's only a mid-tier divine technique. The Black Falcon said. The Golden Falcon's eyes immediately showed a trace of disdain when it heard that. It said, no matter how strong he is, can he be stronger than us? That's right. I'm a perfect Sir God, and Big Brother is a perfect Sir God. Isn't it more than enough to kill him? The White Falcon also said. The Black Falcon said with murderous intent, then quickly kill him. I want to eat him alive. Big Brother, you don't have to do anything. Just watch. The White Falcon looked at the Golden Falcon and said. End it quickly. Don't give him a chance to escape. The Golden Falcon said. Don't worry. Isn't it easy to kill a human who's just a low-tier Sir God? The White Falcon had a look of disdain. Then, it flapped its wings and flew toward Qin Feiyang. Big Brother, I'll go help. The Black Falcon said and chased after the White Falcon. Helping was fake. Revenge was the real thing. Looking at Qin Feiyang again. As he sped forward, he scanned the area below. There were quite a number of ferocious beasts in this forest, and they were basically at the level of War God and Sir God. However, none of the ferocious beasts could surpass the Black Falcon. It seemed that the Black Falcon should be the overlord of this mountain range. But suddenly, he was stunned and hurriedly looked up. He saw a White Falcon breaking through the sky like lightning. Not bad, a perfect Sir God. However, when he saw the Black Falcon chasing after him, he immediately understood. It turned out that he had found a helper and came to take revenge. In that case, the Black Falcon was not the overlord of this mountain range. Human, how dare you bully Third Brother? You really don't know what's good for you. The White Falcon was full of hostility. It shouted fiercely and then charged toward Qin Feiyang. You still call me brother? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Wait. Third brother? Since the Black Falcon was third brother, there should be another one. He immediately lowered his head and scanned the mountains below. Soon, he saw the Golden Falcon at the top of the mountain. Perfect Sir God. Immediately, his pupils shrank. It turned out that the real overlord was there. Suddenly, he noticed the half-meter-tall tree next to the Golden Falcon. It seemed a little familiar. But he didn't have time to think too much. The White Falcon charged toward him with a rolling aura. Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold and he directly threw a punch. Boom! At that moment, the White Falcon was sent flying. Qin Feiyang also took a few steps back. His arm was a little numb. The White Falcon looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. Even a perfect Sir God like it could be sent flying. This power, this physical body, it was too strong. The Black Falcon also opened its eyes wide in anger. It was unbelievable to the extreme. It thought that second brother would be able to crush the other party easily, but it didn't expect that the result was a tie. It seemed that it had underestimated this human. The more I look at it, the more familiar it is. However, Qin Feiyang didn't pay any attention to them. His mind was constantly thinking about the information about that small tree. Suddenly, a light flashed. Fire Lotus, quickly go and look at the pill scripture. See if there is any record of a black-gray tree. Qin Feiyang hurriedly transmitted his voice. Okay. Fire Lotus responded and quickly ran into Qin Feiyang's cultivation room. It was also at this moment. The White Falcon came back to its senses and suddenly shouted, Third brother, let's attack together. The Black Falcon nodded. Boom! At that moment, their bodies swelled with the wind. In an instant, they were like two towering mountains. Divine Art, Black Moon Slash. Divine Art, Ice Seal. Following closely. The two falcons roared in unison, and two divine powers suddenly surged out. The next moment, a pitch-black waning moon and a snow-white frost appeared, carrying a world-destroying divine power, and charged toward Qin Feiyang. Divine art? Qin Feiyang was stunned. These two beasts actually had divine arts. And judging from the aura, it was a high-grade divine art. Humans who overestimate themselves, after you die, this emperor will eat all of your flesh and blood, without leaving a single bit behind. The black falcon laughed sinisterly. Who is the one overconfident? Qin Feiyang's face flashed with a cold light, and with a wave of his hand, a wave of blood rolled out. This was actually the power of the purple-gold divine dragon. But because of the elixir given to him by his ancestor, it became like this. Not only did its appearance change greatly, even the aura of the divine dragon disappeared without a trace. As soon as the divine power appeared, a blood-red divine seal appeared in an instant. Divine Dragon Seal. The white falcon was stunned. This was a mid-grade divine art? To hell with it. This aura was even stronger than a perfect divine art. It was obviously a peak-level divine art. As you said, you dare to cause trouble for me, you really don't know what death is. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. The divine dragon seal immediately broke through the air, like a mountain, and blasted toward the black moon. Clang! Boom! The black moon shattered on the spot, and the black falcon suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, the divine dragon seal blasted toward the frost. The two suddenly exploded in the void, creating a terrifying wave of air. The white falcon was immediately sent flying, and blood spurted out of its mouth. And Qin Feiyang was also forced to retreat, blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. He touched the blood at the corner of his mouth, then looked down at the blood on his finger, and found it hard to accept. The white falcon actually hurt him. Chapter 23:37. One had to know. In the past, even in the face of an immortal, he had the strength to fight. And now, a perfected immortal lord actually injured him? But suddenly, his expression was slightly stunned, and then a bitter smile crept onto his face. In the past, he was indeed powerful, but that was all because of the six-word divine formula. To be exact, it was not that he was powerful, but the six-word divine formula was powerful. And the dragon god technique was only a peak divine formula. Compared to the six-word divine formula, it was worlds apart. He was used to the previous fighting style, and now that there was a sudden change, he was still not used to it. Although the dragon god technique was a peak divine formula, his cultivation was only that of a low-level immortal lord. And although the white falcon's divine formula was only superior, its cultivation was two small realms higher than Qin Feiyang's. In other words, Qin Feiyang's advantage in divine formula was evened out by the disadvantage in cultivation. Therefore, the strength of the two was naturally on par. Without the six-word divine formula, without the heaven-defying divine weapon, my strength is only so little. Qin Feiyang's heart was extremely bitter. Fortunately, he woke up in time. Otherwise, if he continued to rely on the six-word divine formula and the heaven-defying divine weapon, he would only become worse and worse. However, under normal circumstances, it was already very shocking for a low-level immortal lord to be able to fight with a perfected immortal lord and not be at a disadvantage. Qin Feiyang was just used to the previous fighting style and felt that it was a matter of course to fight with someone of a higher level, so he did not realize this point. Of course, everyone's pursuit was different. Some people were already very satisfied to be able to dominate the same level. Some people were very happy to be able to fight with someone of a higher level. And Qin Feiyang pursued perfection. He wanted to do better than others. Especially if others could not do it, he wanted to do it even more. Good luck. Qin Feiyang clenched his hands. Whether it was the dragon god technique or other divine formulas, it would be upgraded to the legendary level sooner or later. At that time, his strength would undoubtedly increase by several times. Third brother, what's wrong with you? He has a peak divine formula, and you only tell me that he only has a mid-level divine formula? At the same time, the white falcon glared at the black falcon, almost going berserk. I don't know either. He didn't use this kind of divine formula just now. The black falcon also felt quite wronged. The white falcon glared at him and said to him, "This person seems to be pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Then let's retreat." The black falcon immediately, the immortal two, used to run. The white falcon glared angrily at the black falcon and quickly fled to the top of the mountain. Immortal lord, immortal lord, immortal lord, to immortal lord, to immortal, immortal to immortal, to immortal, immortal to immortal, 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 immortal lord. The golden falcon was also looking at Qin Feiyang with a hint of surprise in its eyes. The immortal, immortal, immortal to immortal, immortal of immortal, immortal, immortal of immortal. Black Eagle escaped to the peak of the mountain, looked at the golden falcon and said, "Boss, this person is not simple." The white falcon also landed beside the golden falcon and said, "I underestimated him. You'll have to do it." The golden falcon glanced at them and suddenly soared into the sky. It stared at Qin Feiyang and said disdainfully, "A mere ant of a small success divine sovereign dares to come to this emperor's territory to cause trouble? Are you tired of living? It doesn't matter if I'm tired of living or not. What's most important is that if you dare to attack me again, all three of you will die today." Qin Feiyang said. "Arrogant. Then let me see if you have the ability to do so." The golden falcon soared into the sky. At the same time, its palm-sized body expanded in the wind. In the blink of an eye, a giant eagle that was thousands of feet tall appeared at the peak of the clouds. Its aura shook the heavens. "Come up and accept your death." It was like a beast god that was looking down at Qin Feiyang from above as it shouted. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a cold light. "Qin Dage, I found it." But then, Fire Lotus's voice was heard. "Tell me." Qin Feiyang was startled and quickly said, "Let me confirm it first. Are the fruits and leaves of the small tree also black and gray?" Fire Lotus asked. Qin Feiyang looked down at the tree in the middle of the mountain and said, "Yes." "What's he looking at? Don't tell me he's eyeing these three fruits." The black falcon and the white falcon noticed Qin Feiyang's gaze and immediately stood in front of the tree, staring at Qin Feiyang vigilantly. Hearing Qin Feiyang's answer, Fire Lotus seemed a bit excited and said, "That's right. That tree is called the Nirvana Divine Tree." "The Nirvana Divine Tree," Qin Feiyang murmured. "The Nirvana Divine Tree is a rare treasure of heaven and earth. It's extremely rare and can only be found by chance. And the fruit of the Nirvana Divine Tree is called the Nirvana Divine Fruit. It's the main ingredient for refining the Nirvana Divine Pill." Fire Lotus said. "Yes. It's the Nirvana Divine Pill," Qin Feiyang said excitedly. When he broke through to the monarch god level, he opened the alchemy scripture and read it, but because Shangguan Fenglan had something to do at that time, he didn't read it carefully. However, although it was just a casual glance, it left an impression in his mind. That was why he felt familiar when he saw the tree, but he wasn't sure. But he didn't expect it to really be the Nirvana Divine Tree. And there were three fruits that were about to ripen. This was simply a blessing from the heavens. Because the Nirvana Divine Pill was the pill that opened the door to the next level of potential. It could be said that, in his eyes, the Nirvana Divine Fruit was more important than any divine item. He had to get it. "What are you doing? Didn't you hear me tell you to come up and accept your death? Are you too scared to walk?" The golden falcon shouted, looking extremely impatient. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang took a step forward, rushed into the clouds, looked at the golden falcon, and said, "I'll give you a chance. Give me the Nirvana Divine Tree, and I'll spare your lives." "Huh," the golden falcon immediately laughed out loud. That was mocking Qin Feiyang's stupidity and ignorance. "Looks like I really have to do it. I'll also take the opportunity to train myself. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent, his divine power roared, and the divine dragon seal appeared again. In front of me, the peak divine art is just a joke. The golden falcon's aura erupted, and a golden divine power emerged. With a clang, a huge eagle claw appeared. The eagle claw was more than 1,000 feet long, and its divine power could destroy the world. It was as if it was cast in gold, emitting a dazzling light. Shatter for me. The golden falcon roared. That huge eagle claw was like a huge mountain, smashing towards the divine dragon seal. With a loud bang, the divine dragon seal shattered on the spot. Qin Feiyang's body trembled, and a mouthful of blood gushed out from his throat. His face was also pale. He looked at the eagle claw in shock. This was actually transformed from a perfect divine art. A perfect divine art, coupled with the cultivation of a perfect divine lord, this was far beyond the scope of what he could deal with. I'll also give you a chance. Give me this peak divine art, and I'll spare your life. The golden falcon looked at Qin Feiyang with disdain. On the mountain peak below, the black falcon and the white falcon also sneered. Instead, you're starting to rob me? Qin Feiyang was stunned. The golden falcon said contemptuously, is the divine art more important, or is your life more important? I believe you know without me saying it. Don't be too arrogant. Qin Feiyang shouted. Suddenly, behind him, one figure after another appeared. These people, whether it was their appearance or their aura, were exactly the same as Qin Feiyang. 3,000 incarnations. Back then, when he sparred with Frenzy on Turtle King Island, he raised his 3,000 incarnations to small success. In other words, now he could summon a total of 1,000 incarnations. And now, he didn't hold back. In less than 3 breaths, 1,000 incarnations all appeared, standing neatly in the void behind him. The terrifying aura condensed together, almost piercing through the sky. Mere incarnations, you dare to show off your incompetence? The golden falcon's eyes were full of disdain. Incarnations? The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted, and he said indifferently, prove to it, are you all incarnations? The corners of the 1,000 incarnations' mouths were also raised, full of ridicule. Boom! In an instant, 1,000 divine dragon seals appeared. The aura emitted by each divine dragon seal was not weaker than the divine dragon seal that Qin Feiyang had evolved. Kill! All the incarnations shouted, and their killing intent shook the sky. Immediately after, the densely packed divine dragon seals turned into a meteor shower as they majestically shot towards the golden falcon. That terrifying aura shattered the sky, like a broken mirror. The golden falcon still had a look of disdain. The falcon's claws shook the clouds and blasted towards the divine dragon seals. Boom! Crack! One by one, the divine dragon seals were shattered. But the golden falcon's gaze became heavy. Because at the first moment of the confrontation, it sensed that something was wrong. The divine dragon seals that these incarnations evolved were not weaker than Qin Feiyang's original body. Could it be that these were not incarnations, but the original body? But how was that possible? Everything in the world only had one original body. Boom! Almost half of the 1,000 divine dragon seals had been shattered by the giant falcon's claws. Seeing this, the golden falcon could not help but breathe a sigh of relief, and the contempt in its eyes reappeared. It looked at Qin Feiyang and said, so what if these incarnations of yours are different? They are still ants. This is just the beginning. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. Boom! Wisps of God force, including his true self, burst out of his body like a surging tide. Clang! The next moment, one by one, the statues appeared. Each statue was incomparably tall, blood-red, and their formation could not be seen clearly. Each of them held a battle sword in their hands. The battle swords also seemed to be condensed from blood. From afar, it looked like gods and demons had descended to the world. Blood light, illuminating the world. The third move, Supreme Ruler. After the bloodline power disappeared, the third move, Supreme Ruler, had undergone a tremendous change. Even the broken sword had become a complete battle sword. If one did not know about this statue in advance, they would never be recognized as the third move of the Divine Dragon technique. However, although the appearance had changed, the power was not reduced in the slightest. And all along, the third move, Supreme Ruler, had been stronger than the first and second moves. Take now for example. The power of the third move had already surpassed the pinnacle level of divine techniques and was on the verge of reaching the legendary level. In short, the power of the third move was between the pinnacle level and the legendary level. In other words, it had already surpassed the pinnacle level, but had not truly entered the legendary level. Chapter 23:38. The 1,100 statues charged toward the giant eagle claw with monstrous power. This, the golden falcon was dumbfounded. After continuous exchanges, it could already confirm that the strength of these clones was exactly the same as Qin Feiyang's original body. What was going on? Why were the clones so strong? Boom! The statues attacked the giant eagle claw continuously. Crack! The statues collapsed one by one. Even if the third move was stronger than the first and second moves, the golden falcon's cultivation was in front of it. And the giant eagle claw was also evolved from a perfect divine art. Therefore, it was difficult for the third move to turn the situation around. However, Qin Feiyang was not discouraged. The 1,000 clones, including himself, continued to evolve the Guiyuan sword technique, Eclipse Moon, Fire Phoenix technique, Divine Dragon technique, Return to Ruins technique. At that moment, the sky was full of divine arts flying around. The terrifying aura shocked all directions. After a few hundred breaths of hard battle, the giant eagle claw collapsed. The golden falcon spat out a mouthful of blood, but the evil aura around it was even stronger than before. A mere low-level divine lord actually heard it? Unforgivable. Boom! Divine power roared. Accompanied by terrifying divine power, two giant eagle claws suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Qin Feiyang already found it difficult to deal with one giant claw, let alone two. The pressure multiplied. Under the bombardment of the two giant claws, the divine arts that he and his 1,000 clones had evolved were constantly collapsing and disintegrating. His injuries were getting worse and worse. But at this moment, he seemed to be numb. Not only did he turn a blind eye to his injuries, but he was also not afraid of the two giant eagle claws at all. Although his eyes were weak, he seemed extremely calm. He continued to evolve the divine arts just like that. The same went for the 1,000 clones. What's going on? The golden falcon also gradually discovered this abnormality, and a trace of suspicion crept into its eyes. Clang! All of a sudden, Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and 80 flaming sword shadows appeared. The number of the Guiyuan sword technique was determined by the cultivation level. Now, Qin Feiyang had already stepped into the Divine Lord realm and could condense 80 sword shadows. But at this moment, there were more than 80 sword shadows. Because the 1,000 clones behind him had also activated the Guiyuan sword technique. In other words, at this moment, there were a total of 80,080 sword shadows in this world. They were densely packed and peerlessly sharp. The most important thing was, at this moment, the aura emitted by these sword shadows was far stronger than before. Shockingly, it had risen to the level of a high-grade deity art. This, the golden falcon was dumbfounded. As long as one wasn't an idiot, one could tell that the other party was raising the grade of the deity art. However, raising the level of a deity art was an extremely difficult task. It could even be said that it was something that could only be found by chance. It would only happen a few times in a lifetime. Furthermore, normally, they would find breakthroughs in the midst of life and death. But this human actually advanced by a grade so easily. His potential and comprehension ability were too terrifying. However, Qin Feiyang still did not seem to notice the improvement of the Guiyuan sword technique. More than 80,000 sword shadows turned into a rain of swords and blasted towards the two giant claws. Even though the Guiyuan sword art had been raised to the level of a high-tier celestial art, it was still unable to do anything to the two eagle claws. Blood flowed from Qin Feiyang's mouth, dyeing his body red. But he still turned a blind eye to it. Boom! The eclipse of the sun and moon, the ruins of the end, suddenly appeared. The waning moon, the scorching sun, and the invisible force formed by the ruins of the end roared in the sky. Furthermore, the aura of these two deity arts also soared to another level. Perfect deity art. What? He actually raised the grade of 3 deity arts in a row? The golden falcon was dumbfounded. On the mountain peak below, the black falcon and the white falcon were also staring angrily. This was simply a monster. No. It should be said that he was abnormal. No matter how good his talent and potential were, it couldn't be so ridiculous. But what was this? An even more shocking scene appeared. The 4 moves of the Fire Phoenix art appeared almost at the same time. Boom! A terrifying divine might enveloped heaven and earth. The Fire Phoenix art, which was originally a perfect deity art, suddenly soared to the level of a peak deity art. Seeing this scene, the shock in the golden falcon's heart could no longer be described with words. It was understandable to raise a mid-tier deity art and a high-tier deity art. But to raise a perfect deity art to a peak deity art, was this something that ordinary people could do? This guy was definitely not human. Because it was impossible for a lowly human to have such terrifying aptitude. Divine Prefecture was ruled by dragons. Because of the influence of the dragons, other types of beasts also looked down on humans from the bottom of their hearts. However, the upgrade of the Fire Phoenix art did not stop Qin Feiyang. The 3 moves of the Dragon God art reappeared. The aura continued to soar. Wait. What is he going to do? Could it be that he wants to raise the peak deity art to the legendary deity art? The golden falcon, the white falcon, and the black falcon all stared at Qin Feiyang with their eyes wide open at the same time, full of surprise and doubt. Boom! First was the 3rd move. The 3rd move, which had originally surpassed the peak deity art, directly broke the shackles and rose to the legendary deity art. The divine might soared several times in an instant. Immediately after, the 1st and 2nd moves also began to crazily rush to the legendary deity art. How can this go on? Boss, quickly stop him. The black falcon roared anxiously. The golden falcon quivered and came back to his senses, his eyes suddenly surging with ferocity. Battle's soul, open. With a low roar, a small golden falcon claw rushed out from behind him. That small falcon claw was as big as an adult's palm, its entire body was golden and the aura it exuded was not the slightest bit inferior to the 2 giant falcon claws evolved from the perfect deity art. And at the same time, the white falcon and the black falcon also rushed into the sky, opened their battle souls, evolved the strongest deity art, and roared, "Lowly human, go to hell." At this moment, they did not hold back, only wanting to get rid of Qin Feiyang as soon as possible. Otherwise, if they let it continue to develop, the consequences would be unimaginable. Boom! Qin Feiyang and the 1,000 incarnations naturally would not sit still and wait for death. But unlike the 1,000 incarnations, Qin Feiyang completely felt the danger and instinctively counterattacked. 1,001 statues, majestically charged forward. This move had already stepped into the legendary deity art. Low, middle, high, perfect, peak, legendary deity art. 6 levels, equivalent to 6 small realms. In other words, Qin Feiyang's current battle strength had already surpassed that of a great perfection deity. However, even the legendary deity art could not ignore the barrier of a large realm like the 6-word deity art. So, It was only surpassing the great perfection deity art, not reaching the half-step deity art. As for the black falcon and the other two beasts, not to mention the black falcon and the white falcon, because the third move of the dragon god art had already killed them instantly. And the golden falcon had the cultivation of a great perfection deity art. It was 3 small realms higher than Qin Feiyang, and with the perfect deity art, it could increase its strength by 4 small realms. In other words, the golden falcon's strength was 7 small realms higher than Qin Feiyang. And excluding the increase of the third move, the golden falcon's strength was still 1 small realm higher than Qin Feiyang. So, even if the third move had stepped into the legendary deity art, it would still be difficult for Qin Feiyang to defeat the golden falcon. Boom! Under the bombardment of the golden falcon's battle soul and the deity art, the emperor statues shattered one after another. Every time an emperor statue shattered, the incarnations would also dissipate. Because after such a long battle, they had almost reached their limit. Crack! Accompanied by 2 loud sounds, the 2 giant eagle claws finally shattered. The black falcon and the white falcon's deity art and battle soul had also dissipated. The golden falcon's gaze turned cold as it shouted sternly, "Innate ability, strangle." At that moment, the golden falcon's claws stirred up a terrifying golden storm, shattering the statues and heading straight for Qin Feiyang. After a while, all the statues disappeared. Qin Feiyang's 1,000 incarnations also dispersed, leaving only Qin Feiyang behind. But he was still immersed in comprehending the deity art. He didn't seem to notice the oncoming storm at all. But just as he was about to be engulfed by the storm, he waved his hands. The first move of the divine dragon seal and the second move of the divine dragon roar appeared, and the aura they emitted had reached the legendary deity art. It was also at this moment he suddenly raised his head and looked at the golden storm. At this moment, his cultivation also soared to the great perfection deity art. It wasn't a breakthrough. It was the activation of the rising dragon technique. Following closely, with a wave of his hand, the divine dragon seal shone with a bloody light and blasted towards the storm. The blood dragon formed by the divine dragon roar raised its head to the sky and let out a dragon roar, also giving birth to a terrifying sound wave that rolled out. With the cultivation of a great perfection deity art, coupled with the legendary divine dragon roar and divine dragon seal, Qin Feiyang's current battle strength was already on par with the golden falcon. In some aspects, he was even stronger than the golden falcon. The two met with a loud bang. In less than 3 breaths of time, the golden storm was defeated by the divine dragon seal and divine dragon roar. Following closely, the 2 legendary deity arts charged towards the battle soul. Boom! Following an earth-shattering explosion, the golden falcon's fighting soul was also shattered. The golden falcon's blood gushed out, its eyes filled with shock. He really raised the peak deity art to the legendary deity art level. He was a complete pervert. At this moment, whether it was the golden falcon, the black falcon, or the white falcon, they couldn't help but feel fear in their hearts. Wait! Seeing that the divine dragon seal was about to attack, the golden falcon quivered and hurriedly shouted at Qin Feiyang. "What's wrong?" Qin Feiyang's mind moved, and the divine dragon seal stopped above the heads of the 3 beasts. The corners of his mouth pursed into a sneer. "This is a misunderstanding. We agree to give you the Nirvana tree," the golden falcon hurriedly said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Do I still need you to give it to me now? Don't be unreasonable. If you provoke us, it won't do you any good," the golden falcon said in a deep voice. "Then I really want to try." Killing intent flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes, and the divine dragon seal fell with a loud bang. The black falcon and the white falcon died on the spot, blood splattering in the sky. Although the golden falcon didn't die, its body was almost torn into pieces, and it was facing a near-death situation. But at the same time, in the void behind Qin Feiyang, a black sword light suddenly appeared, carrying a shocking murderous aura, and charged towards Qin Feiyang. There's still someone else? Qin Feiyang's face suddenly changed, and he hurriedly teleported to the side. But that sword light was too sudden. And it was familiar. Puff! One of Qin Feiyang's arms was cut off on the spot, blood splattering in the sky. Chapter 2339. If he had not reacted in time and dodged quickly, not only would he have lost an arm, his entire body would have been split into two. Who is it? Qin Feiyang clutched his wound and suddenly turned to look at the void behind him. However, he did not even see a shadow. Could he be hiding in a space divine item? Qin Feiyang's gaze was gloomy as he released his divine consciousness and scanned the void. He did not find any traces of a space divine item. There was no need to think. The person who sneaked an attack on him must be hiding in a space divine item and had the soul concealing stone. Damn it, I won't let you off. The golden falcon let out a roar as a destructive aura rushed out from its body. Self-destruction. Qin Feiyang raised his brows. Clang. However, right then, that sword gleam appeared again. However, the target this time was not Qin Feiyang but the golden falcon. The golden falcon did not expect that the person in the dark would actually attack it. Right then. Its huge body was mercilessly split into two by the sword gleam and it died immediately. Qin Feiyang stared at the sword gleam and focused his mind. The person in the dark would definitely attack him again. True enough. After killing the golden falcon, the sword gleam suddenly turned in the air and charged toward Qin Feiyang at lightning speed. Hiding your head and shrinking your tail. What a coward! Qin Feiyang shouted. The emperor statue immediately appeared and raised the blood sword in its hand and slashed furiously. Boom! The sword gleam shattered on the spot. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. It seemed that this person's cultivation level was not high and was probably similar to the white falcon. Otherwise, the emperor statue's sword could not have shattered the sword gleam so easily. However, this person was hiding in a space divine item and he was at his wit's end. Suddenly, he swooped down and swept toward the Nirvana divine tree at the mountain peak below. This person hid in the dark and attacked him sneakily and killed the golden falcon. He must be coveting the Nirvana divine tree as well. Therefore, he had to get the Nirvana divine tree first. Clang! But right at the moment he swooped down, the sword light suddenly appeared once more, and its sharpness tore through space. Qin Feiyang could not help but feel a burst of anger. He stopped in the void, and without hesitation, evolved the divine dragon seal, and blasted it towards the sword light. The two met in an instant. The sword light was crushed once again. However, just as Qin Feiyang was about to continue flying towards the peak of the mountain, he suddenly felt a fatal danger. Following closely. A black dagger entered his lower abdomen from his back. So fast. Qin Feiyang was shocked. He turned his head around and saw a black-clothed woman standing behind him. She was laughing coldly at him. The woman in black pulled out her dagger and took a few steps back. She looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "You're really hard to deal with." Qin Feiyang released his divine sense and supported his falling body. He slowly retreated and stared at the black-clothed woman. This woman only had the cultivation of a large success divine lord. However, the dagger in her hand was a supreme-grade divine artifact. But that's not right. The previous two sneak attacks were clearly a sword light. Could it be that this woman had another divine artifact in her hands? Where do you think you're going? A man's voice suddenly sounded behind Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang, who was retreating, suddenly froze and came to a realization. There was more than one person. Without hesitation, he immediately turned around and fled to the side. However, just as he turned around, a fist landed on his back. Boom! Immediately, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and then like a meteorite, he smashed into the ground below. He finally saw that man. It was a middle-aged man, also dressed in black, holding a 3-foot-long battle sword in his hand. Obviously, the person who had sneak attacked him previously was this middle-aged man. That battle sword was also a supreme-grade divine artifact. And the middle-aged man's cultivation was also a small realm higher than the black-clothed woman, a consummate divine lord. Don't blame us for being despicable. You can only blame yourself for showing too much strength. We could only sneak attack you. However, we have to thank you properly. If it weren't for you, we might never have gotten this Nirvana divine tree. The middle-aged man stood in the sky and looked at Qin Feiyang, who was falling continuously, and sneered. You win. Qin Feiyang said gloomily. As his voice fell, he smashed into a mountain. The mountain collapsed on the spot, drowning him. What's the use of having strength but no brains? The middle-aged man smiled disdainfully and looked at the black-clothed woman. Madam, he must be dead. Let's go and get the Nirvana divine tree. The black-clothed woman nodded. The couple immediately flew to the mountain peak. As for Qin Feiyang's death, they did not have any doubts. First of all, Qin Feiyang was already seriously injured when he fought with the Golden Falcon. Then, under their sneak attack, first one of his arms was broken, then his sea of qi was destroyed, then he was hit by a punch, and finally smashed into the mountain. After suffering fatal injuries consecutively, even a consummate divine lord would not be able to survive, let alone a mere low-level divine lord. The couple landed on the mountain peak and looked at the Nirvana divine tree greedily. Madam, you must keep the Nirvana divine tree a secret. Otherwise, if the people in the village know, especially the village chief, they will definitely be greedy. The middle-aged man suddenly said. I know. The black-clothed woman nodded and pondered for a while. When we go back, we will immediately head to Black Rock City. Okay. The middle-aged man thought for a while and nodded with a smile. Then, he uprooted the Nirvana divine tree and carefully put it away. Then, the couple looked at each other and smiled. Then, they turned into a stream of light and quickly disappeared into the sky. After the two of them left, the place gradually calmed down. Sigh. About 100 breaths later. Suddenly, a faint sigh was heard. A black-clothed young man covered in blood crawled out from a broken piece of land. It was Qin Feiyang. Not only was he covered in wounds, but his body was also covered in dirt. After crawling out of the soil, he lay on the ground and looked at the clear sky with a bitter smile on his bloodied face. He never thought that he would end up in such a sorry state. Originally, he could have entered the ancient castle. As long as he could avoid the couple's sneak attack, when the couple appeared, he had 10,000 ways to kill them. But since he decided not to rely on the heaven-defying divine artifact, he had to do it. However, although he was in a sorry state this time, he still gained a lot. The Divine Dragon technique was upgraded to the legendary level. The Fire Phoenix technique was upgraded to the pinnacle level. The Eclipse Moon and Return to Ruin technique were both upgraded to the perfect level. The Guiyuan Sword technique was also upgraded to a superior level. His strength had increased exponentially. Now, even if he didn't activate the 6-word divine technique and use the heaven-defying divine artifact, he could still be called a king below the paramount god level. It seemed that this decision was right. If he wanted to become stronger, he had to abandon these trump cards and rely on his true abilities to find a breakthrough in battle. I must maintain the heart to enjoy the battle. Qin Feiyang muttered. Because only by enjoying the battle would it be easier to improve the level of the divine technique. Of course, enjoying the battle was only secondary. The most important thing was the gate of potential. After opening the gate of potential, whether it was comprehension or potential, it was far superior to others. Right. Nirvana divine tree. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang shivered and hurriedly got up. As his body twisted, a sharp pain suddenly came from his body. This injury, even when facing the dragons, it doesn't seem to be this serious. Qin Feiyang sat on the ground and couldn't help but smile bitterly. He didn't go to the top of the mountain again, because he knew that the Nirvana divine tree must have been taken away by the couple. What a pity. Qin Feiyang shook his head and was about to take out the Spirit Sea pill and the Divine Life pill. Rustle, but suddenly, a series of light footsteps entered his ears. He was stunned and looked towards the direction of the sound. The footsteps came from a forest on the left. But when he looked at the forest, the footsteps disappeared again. It shouldn't be a beast, because beasts wouldn't be so low-key. It couldn't be the couple, because they wouldn't be so low-key. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly and shouted, "I see you, don't hide, come out." Not long after his voice fell, a 17 or 18-year-old woman in yellow came out from behind a big tree and looked at Qin Feiyang warily. Next to the woman in yellow, there was a black-clothed young man in his 20s. The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang with a cautious expression. However, their cultivation was very weak. The woman in yellow was only a pseudo-god. The black-clothed young man had already stepped into the war god realm, but he was only a beginner. "Who are you? Why are you hiding there?" Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. The two seemed to be very flustered. Qin Feiyang's expression eased and said with a smile, "Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. Besides, I can't hurt you in my current state." Since these two little guys appeared here, it was very likely that they knew the couple. Sneak attack him? This debt couldn't be settled like this. Hearing this, the two looked at each other. The yellow-clothed woman said timidly, "Don't fool us, although you are seriously injured, with your cultivation, a wisp of divine sense can kill us." The black-clothed young man also nodded. "Ah." Qin Feiyang was stunned. "You're pretty smart." Not bad. Even if he was seriously injured, even if his Qi Si was destroyed, to kill a pseudo-god and a war god rookies was as easy as blowing off dust. The black-clothed young man glanced at Qin Feiyang, then looked at the yellow-clothed woman and said in a low voice, "Even the Golden Falcon and Li Dashan are no match for him, let's hurry up and leave." Li Dashan and his wife? Although the voice was very soft, Qin Feiyang heard it clearly and was slightly stunned. He really knew the couple? If that was the case, he couldn't let the two of them escape. Immediately, killing intent flashed in his eyes as he looked at the two of them and said, "If you chase me away, I'll kill you." Their eyes trembled. Qin Feiyang shouted, "Come here right now." The two of them trembled and took small steps, trembling as they walked toward Qin Feiyang. "Hurry up!" Qin Feiyang roared. Like thunder, it passed into the minds of the two, shaking their blood. Their faces suddenly changed, and they immediately rushed in front of Qin Feiyang. The black-clothed young man summoned his courage and stood in front of the yellow-clothed woman, looked at Qin Feiyang, and said, "Senior, if you want to kill you, kill me, please let Xiaohe go." Chapter 2340. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. He glanced at the yellow-clothed woman and the black-clothed young man and asked, "Aren't you afraid of death?" "Of course. But I don't want anything to happen to Xiaohe," the black-clothed young man said. Qin Feiyang couldn't help laughing. "Since you're afraid of death, why are you here?" "I didn't want to come. It's Xiaohe who wants to come," the black-clothed young man said with a trace of helplessness. Qin Feiyang turned to the yellow-clothed woman and asked, "Why are you here?" I want to see if you're dead," the yellow-clothed woman stammered. "See if I'm dead?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He frowned and said, "So, you want my interspatial ring? If I'm dead, it'll be convenient for you?" No. "I don't think so, I just want to see if I can save your life." The yellow-clothed woman quickly waved her hand. "Save me?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. This answer was simply unexpected. He said suspiciously, "We're not related." "Why are you here to save me?" The yellow-clothed woman lowered her head, not daring to look at Qin Feiyang's eyes. The black-clothed young man protected her. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Xiao He is such a kind girl." Qin Feiyang was stunned. They were not related. She didn't know whether he was a good person or a bad person, but she came to save him. If the black-clothed young man didn't trick him, she was really a kind girl. However, how could there be such a kind person in the world? Qin Feiyang, who was used to scheming, couldn't believe it. But at this moment, the yellow-clothed woman took out a spiritual sea elixir and a divine life elixir and handed them to Qin Feiyang timidly. Ah! Qin Feiyang was stunned again. Your injury is very serious. If you don't treat it quickly, it may affect your foundation. The yellow-clothed woman said softly. Qin Feiyang stared at the yellow-robed woman, then at the divine life pill and spiritual sea pill in her hand. He was in a daze for a long time. He actually gave him pills? It seemed that she was indeed a kind-hearted girl. Qin Feiyang suddenly smiled and reached out to take the pill. Both pills only had 3 pill veins. Normally, he wouldn't even give them a second glance. That was because any random pill he took out would have more pill patterns than this one. However, he took it and threw it into his mouth without hesitation. He didn't want to reject this kindness. Thank you. Qin Feiyang thanked him. His expression relaxed completely, and he regained his usual smile. The two of them were taken aback. It didn't seem that scary after all. Qin Feiyang asked with a smile, "What are your names?" "I'm Li Feng." Xiao He's full name is Li He. The black-clothed young man said. Li Feng, Li He? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. Why did they have the same surname as Li Dashan? Qin Feiyang said, "Then when did you come?" "Xiao He and I have been training nearby. Just now, we suddenly sensed the fluctuations of a battle, so we came to check it out of curiosity," Li Feng said. Li He was still hiding behind Li Feng. Qin Feiyang asked, "Did you see it?" "We saw it." Li Feng nodded and hurriedly waved his hand. "Senior, don't worry. We won't tell anyone." "Why are you nervous?" "It's nothing shameful." Qin Feiyang was speechless. They were so timid, yet they dared to come here to train. He really admired the courage of these two little guys. Li Feng was stunned. After thinking for a while, it seemed that there was indeed nothing shameful, so he smiled awkwardly at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang said, "Then do you know the couple just now?" "We're from the same village." "Of course we know them." Li Feng nodded. "The same village?" Qin Feiyang was stunned again. Shouldn't people from the same village be united against a common enemy? In the end, they came to save him. What on earth were these two little guys thinking? If Li Dashan and his wife knew about this, they would immediately scold them for being traitors. Li Feng added, "However, I don't like them very much." "Me too." Li He also said. "Why?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at the two of them curiously. Their character is not good. They always bully everyone just because their cultivation is stronger than everyone's. They even dared to offend Li He's father. Li Feng said in disgust. "Your father?" Qin Feiyang looked at Li He. "My father is the village chief. His cultivation is very strong. He is a consummate divine lord." Speaking of her father, a trace of pride appeared on Li He's face. "A consummate divine lord," Qin Feiyang murmured, "isn't he similar to Li Dashan?" "Their cultivation is similar, but their character is different. My father never bullies the people in the village." Li He glared at Qin Feiyang, thinking that Qin Feiyang was saying that her father was the same as Li Dashan. "Don't be agitated. I didn't say that your father's character is bad. I just said that their cultivation is the same." Qin Feiyang was speechless. Li He was stunned and hurriedly said, "Senior, I'm sorry, it's okay." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. This little girl was so innocent that it was scary. However, this innocence was not necessarily a good thing. Fortunately, she met him today. If she met someone with bad intentions, it was hard to imagine what would happen. Qin Feiyang asked, "Is your village far from here?" "Not far. It's just outside this mountain range," Li Feng said. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Okay, take me to your village." "Why are you going to our village?" Li Feng immediately became vigilant. It could be seen that he was much more alert than Li He. Qin Feiyang said, "Look at my injuries, I have to find a place to recuperate." Recuperate? Li Feng looked at Qin Feiyang with some doubts. However, Li He glanced around and nodded, "There are too many fierce beasts in this mountain. It's really dangerous." "Shao He," Li Feng frowned and stared at Li He. "Did I say something wrong?" Li He looked at Li Feng in confusion. Li Feng shook his head and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Senior, I have no problem with you going to our village, but you have to promise me that you won't hurt anyone." "Do I look like a bad guy?" Qin Feiyang was quite depressed. He had tried very hard to show an amiable look. Why was he still so vigilant? Was it related to his current appearance? That was right. It must be so. After changing his appearance, he looked more fierce. Next, Qin Feiyang followed the two and flew out of the mountain range. On the way, he also knew a little about the two's village. The village they were in was called Cloud Mountain Village. There were about 2,000 households. The strongest people in the village were the village chief and Li Dashan, two consummate divine lords. As for half-step divine lords, initial divine lords, small divine lords, and great divine lords, there were hundreds of them. Naturally, there were more gods of war. This was also something Qin Feiyang didn't expect. A small village actually had two consummate divine lords. What about the entire divine land? It was unbelievable. This place was indeed not something the four major regions could compare with. About an hour passed. Finally, a village came into Qin Feiyang's sight. The village was located in the mountains and there were many buildings. Streams meandered down the mountains. The streams flowed slowly and were so clear that one could see the bottom. There were also bluestone paths that extended in all directions, connecting every house. As far as the eye could see, there were green mountains and clear waters everywhere. The mountain streams were surrounded by clouds and mist. This village was completely different from the village in Qin Feiyang's mind. In the villages he saw before, everyone's houses were basically piled together, forming a small town. But here, every house was far away from each other, distributed in picturesque disorder by the mountain stream. And the houses were not ordinary houses in the village. They were exquisite attics, basically built with good wood and meticulously built. Qin Feiyang was entranced. How was this a village? It was simply a paradise on earth. Soon, Qin Feiyang noticed a stone tablet at the entrance of the village. The stone tablet was dark and more than 10 meters tall. It was very eye-catching and there were 3 vigorous and powerful words engraved on it. Cloud Mountain Village. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and scanned the entire village. He looked at Li He and Li Feng and said with a smile, "The mountain is covered with clouds and mist, quiet and elegant. Your village is really not bad. Senior, you flatter us. How can a poor village like ours compare to those luxurious towns outside?" Li Feng said with a trace of yearning in his eyes. Qin Feiyang shook his head. He was still young and inexperienced. Otherwise, why would he yearn for the life of the outside towns? In fact, in terms of age, Qin Feiyang might not be older than Li Feng. He might even be younger than Li Feng. After all, Li Feng had already become a god of war. The difference between the two was that Qin Feiyang had experienced too much and had long been tired of this kind of life. He wanted to find a place like this where he could live peacefully and peacefully. With different experiences, the goal of life would naturally be different. Maybe one day, after Li Feng left the village and wandered for a few years, he would look back and see that Cloud Mountain Village was actually better. Xiao Feng, Xiao He, who is he? Suddenly, a loud voice was heard. Qin Feiyang and the other two looked down and saw a middle-aged man flying up from the mountains below. He stood next to Li Feng and Li He and looked at Qin Feiyang cautiously. Don't tell anyone about Li Dashan and Li Feng. Qin Feiyang said to Li Feng and Li He and then sized up the middle-aged man. This person was quite strong. He was an early-stage divine lord. Okay. Li Feng replied. He looked at the middle-aged man and smiled. Uncle Yuan, we just rescued him from the mountains. He came to our village to rest for a few days. When Li Yuan heard this, his expression was incomparably astonished. He carefully looked at Qin Feiyang for a while, then turned his head to look at Li Feng and Li He, and said, Are you sure you didn't make a mistake? You saved him? Qin Feiyang's sea of vital energy had already been repaired. So, Li Yuan could see through Qin Feiyang's cultivation. Qin Feiyang was also an early-stage divine lord like him. An early-stage divine lord needed the help of a fake god and an early-stage god of war? Wasn't this a joke? So, he thought that Li Feng might be lying. He even suspected that Qin Feiyang was secretly threatening Li Feng and Li He. So, he became more vigilant and he seemed to unintentionally protect Li Feng and Li He behind him. Chapter 2341. Qin Feiyang naturally saw Li Yuan's vigilance. It was understandable that there would be such a misunderstanding. Because, if it were him, he would think the same. Uncle Yuan, it was us who saved him. If I hadn't given him the Spirit Sea pill and the Divine Life pill, his Qi Sea wouldn't have recovered. Li He looked at Li Yuan and said. Li Yuan frowned and looked at Qin Feiyang. It was indeed these two children who saved me. At that time, I was attacked by a fierce beast. That fierce beast was a consummate divine lord. In 2 rounds, I was seriously injured by it. Later, I was lucky enough to escape and fell unconscious on the ground. Fortunately, the two of them met me and gave me a hand. Otherwise, I would have been dead by now. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, his face full of gratitude. I see. Li Yuan nodded in realization. But suddenly, he frowned, turned to look at Li Feng and Li He, and said angrily, You went to the mountains without permission again? A trace of panic appeared on Li He's face. Li Feng glanced at Li He and said to Li Yuan, Uncle Yuan, I wanted to go. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Blame you? Fortunately, nothing happened. Otherwise, can you bear the responsibility? Li Yuan glared at Li Feng angrily. Li He hugged Li Yuan's arm and said with a flattering smile, Uncle Yuan, we won't dare to do it again. Don't be angry. You little girl. Li Yuan knocked on Li He's forehead and looked at Qin Feiyang. He cupped his hands and said with a smile, May I know your name, brother? My surname is Gao, Gao Shaosan. Qin Feiyang casually thought of a name. Li Yuan smiled and said, So it's Brother Gao. I've heard a lot about you. Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Isn't this too official? It was just a name he casually thought of, and he had heard a lot about him. Li He and Li Feng could not be compared to those who had experience. Uncle Yuan, do you know him? Is he famous? Why haven't I heard of him? However, Li Feng and Li He took it seriously and looked at Li Yuan curiously. This made Li Yuan rather depressed. She couldn't tell that he was just being polite. He looked at Qin Feiyang awkwardly and said with a smile, Brother Gao, please don't laugh at me. No, no. On the contrary, I rather admire them. Even after reaching the quasi-divinity realm and the war god realm, he can still be so pure and kind. Qin Feiyang said. Simplicity is a good thing, but also a bad thing. Actually, it's also our fault. They've been locked up in the village since they were young. Li Yuan sighed. Why is that? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Young people should go out and explore the world. If they were to stay in the village and grow up under the care of their elders, they would be like flowers in a greenhouse. No matter how talented they were, it would be difficult for them to achieve great things. The human heart is sinister. Li Yuan thought for a moment and only said these 4 words. Qin Feiyang was silent. Indeed. The outside world was too cruel. Every elder did not wish for their descendants to take risks. Perhaps it might not be a bad thing to live an ordinary life like this for the rest of their lives. All right then, Brother Gao will stay in the village and take a good rest for a while. Li Yuan smiled and looked at Li Feng and Li He, saying, Little Feng, Little He, you guys make the arrangements. Okay. The 2 of them nodded. Thank you. Qin Feiyang also cupped his hands and smiled at Li Yuan. You're welcome. Li Yuan smiled and turned to leave. Li Feng stretched out his hand and said, Senior, please. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and followed behind the 2 of them, flying towards a pavilion halfway up the mountain. The pavilion had a total of 2 floors. It was richly ornamented and had an ancient style. There was a garden in front of the pavilion. Beautiful flowers were in full bloom. On one side of the garden, there was a small waterfall. Clear water poured down, splashing water everywhere. The 3 of them landed in the garden one after another. Li Feng said, Senior, this is what the village chief usually uses to entertain distinguished guests. Why don't you stay here for a few days? Qin Feiyang was stunned and said, Then, am I not a distinguished guest? With your cultivation and strength, as long as you don't do anything out of line, you are indeed qualified to be a distinguished guest of our Cloud Mountain village. Li Feng said it very tactfully, for fear of angering Qin Feiyang. You little guy. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, saying, Don't worry, I won't do anything bad to your Cloud Mountain village. Li Feng scratched his head and smiled embarrassedly. At the same time, he was relieved. Senior, you are so strong, your identity must be extraordinary. Li He looked at Qin Feiyang curiously. My strength is similar to that of your Uncle Yuan. How can I be considered strong? Qin Feiyang shook his head. Li He said, But you can even kill a perfect monarch god golden falcon. Didn't you see it too? I didn't kill it. It was Li Dashan from your village. Qin Feiyang smiled. Li He said, But if you didn't injure it, Li Dashan would also, Shao He, that's enough. Senior is seriously injured. Let him rest first. Why are you asking so many questions? Li Feng glared at Li He, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Senior, have a good rest. We will come to see you another day. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Let's go. Li Feng pulled Li He and quickly left. Quite cautious. Qin Feiyang muttered. However, this Cloud Mountain village was really a good place. Li Dashan, I am looking forward to seeing your expression when you see me in your village. A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. He walked out of the garden and sat under the stream, washing the blood off his body. Looking at the red stream, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel lucky. Fortunately, the ancestor gave him that magical elixir to hide the power of the bloodline. Otherwise, he would be as restrained as he was when he entered the northern region. Ancestor, what on earth do you want me to do? You took everyone away. Why did you leave me alone? Am I a member of your Qin family? Qin Feiyang was very depressed. He thought that he could really reunite with his ancestor after entering the divine land this time. Unexpectedly, his ancestor didn't have this plan at all. Alas! Qin Feiyang sighed in a low voice. He shifted his position and lay on a bluestone. He rested his head on his hands and looked at the blue sky. His thoughts were flying. The elegant and quiet environment and the cold stream seemed to be able to wash away his troubles. Gradually, he lay in the water and fell asleep. The sun set in the west. The people who went out of Cloud Mountain Village gradually returned. Everyone knew that a stranger had come to the village, but no one cared. The village at night was even more peaceful. The moonlight sprinkled down like a silver veil. Tada! On the mountain path, a series of light footsteps sounded. Not long after, a middle-aged man in white appeared in front of the waterfall. He didn't make a sound and quietly looked at Qin Feiyang lying in the water. It's so comfortable. Not long after, Qin Feiyang woke up. His tiredness was gone and his injuries were healed. He stretched and felt extremely comfortable. But suddenly, he shivered and immediately got up and stared at the middle-aged man standing by the roadside. The middle-aged man had his hands behind his back. His white clothes were spotless and there was a smile on his weather-beaten face. His aura was faintly discernible. However, Qin Feiyang could tell that this person was shockingly a consummate divine lord. The middle-aged man smiled and said, "I didn't disturb you, did I?" "No." Qin Feiyang shook his head and walked out of the water. His body shook slightly and the water on his body evaporated immediately. Then, he turned to look at the middle-aged man and said with a smile, "You must be the father of that little girl, the village chief of Cloud Mountain Village." "That's me. I'm Li Yuntai. As soon as I came back, I heard that there was a guest in Cloud Mountain Village, so I came to take a look. If I disturbed Brother Gao, please forgive me," Li Yuntai said. He was amiable and approachable. "You're welcome. I should be the one apologizing. I'm really sorry for entering the village without the permission of you, the village chief." Qin Feiyang quickly waved his hand. "Brother Gao, you're too kind. Brother Gao was brought into the village by my daughter, so you're naturally my guest." Li Yuntai smiled and said. Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment before he praised, "This Cloud Mountain Village is truly a good place. It has verdant hills and clear waters, and its people are simple and honest. As long as Brother Gao likes it. If you need anything, Brother Gao, don't hesitate to come to me," Li Yuntai said. "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. Li Yuntai said, "If I may be so bold as to ask, where did Brother Gao come from and where are you going?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. This was the purpose of Li Yuntai's visit, to find out his background. Qin Feiyang thought for a while and said, "I have some good tea with me. Why don't we talk while drinking?" He had a lot of things to ask Li Yuntai. "Sure." Li Yuntai nodded and smiled. "To be honest, Brother Gao, I don't have many hobbies, but I like to drink tea, especially good tea. Looks like we're kindred spirits." Qin Feiyang smiled. The two entered the garden. There was a pavilion in the corner of the garden. The two walked into the pavilion and sat opposite each other. Qin Feiyang immediately took out the tea set and tea leaves. These tea leaves, Li Yuntai looked at the tea leaves and his eyes lit up. These were the tea leaves that the deputy pavilion master gave to Qin Feiyang. They were the best. Qin Feiyang smiled and casually waved his hand. A stream of clean water flew over from a small stream not far away. Not a single drop fell into the teapot. Then, a wisp of flame rose from his fingertips and the teapot soon boiled. Then, Qin Feiyang began to make tea. "Village chief, try it." After making tea, Qin Feiyang poured a cup and pushed it in front of Li Yuntai. "Don't call me village chief. It's too distant. Brother Gao, if you don't mind, you can call me brother." After Li Yuntai finished speaking, he couldn't wait to pick up the teacup and sniff it. His eyes lit up immediately. "It smells so good, I've never seen such a tea fragrance before." After exclaiming, Li Yuntai put the teacup to his mouth and gently took a sip. He was instantly intoxicated and immersed in the world of tea fragrance. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and also picked up the teacup to take a sip. The tea leaves that the deputy pavilion master gave him were indeed good. But now, He preferred the heavenly immortal dew. It wasn't that the deputy pavilion master's tea leaves were inferior to the heavenly immortal tower. Both had their own merits. But it was a pity that he didn't ask for some from Miss Heavenly Immortal. Chapter 2342. After a long while, Li Yuntai came to himself. Qin Feiyang looked up at Li Yuntai and smiled. "Brother Li, how was it?" "It's memorable." Li Yuntai only said these two words, then took the initiative to grab the teapot and fill the cup. He was very careful. His expression was as if spilling even a single drop was a waste of God's gift. Qin Feiyang said, "Brother Li, if you like it, I can give you this jar of tea." Li Yuntai was stunned and glanced at the tea jar next to Qin Feiyang. The tea jar was made of the best jade. It was as big as an adult's fist, as white as snow, without any flaw. There was half a jar of tea inside. Li Yuntai showed a hint of desire in his eyes, but he didn't take it immediately. After drinking the tea, he put down the teacup and looked up at Qin Feiyang. Because he knew there was no free lunch in the world. Besides, this man came from an unknown background. Who knew if he came to Yunshan village for any purpose? Qin Feiyang said helplessly, "Brother Li, don't look at me like that. I really mean no harm. I just want to know something." Li Yuntai's eyes flashed and he smiled. "Then let's go back to the original topic. Where are you from and where are you going?" Qin Feiyang shook his head, afloat, drifting everywhere. Li Yuntai was stunned. He looked at Qin Feiyang deeply and said, "Brother Gao, it seems that you are also a man with a story. Who doesn't have a story in the world?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. He asked, "Not only Brother Li, do you know a man named Qin Badian?" Qin Badian. Li Yuntai was shocked. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and he asked, "Brother Li, do you know him?" Li Yuntai said, "Who doesn't know the name Qin Badian in the Divine Land?" "Really?" Qin Feiyang looked surprised. "You should know that the Divine Land is ruled by the dragons. In the eyes of the dragons, human beings are lowly ants. We have been bullied by them for countless years. More than 1,000 years ago, a peerless man came out of nowhere and openly challenged the dragons. This man is Qin Badian." Li Yuntai's face was full of admiration. "Is he really so powerful?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. "That's not right. Brother Gao, Qin Badian is so famous, how could you not know him?" Li Yuntai looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. "To tell you the truth, Brother Li, I've been in closed-door training for the past few thousand years, so I know nothing about this Qin Badian who suddenly appeared." Qin Feiyang said. "I see. That's right. For people at our level of cultivation, it's normal for us to cultivate in seclusion for thousands of years. Even seclusion for tens of thousands of years is a common occurrence." Calm. "That's right. Before I became an immortal, I wanted to become an immortal every day. But when I became an immortal, I realized that the later realms are harder to cultivate. For example, even if I have enough soul stones, it will take me 7,000 to 8,000 years to become a profound divine lord. Without soul stones, I'm afraid I won't be able to break through in tens of thousands of years." Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. "Yeah. Soul stones are the only shortcut. But soul stones are too hard to come by. Cloud Mountain Village is such a big village, but we only have 10 level 9 soul lines." Li Yuntai sighed. "What? Cloud Mountain Village has 10 level 9 soul lines?" Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. One had to know. Even the Treasure Pavilion and 9 Heavens Palace would fight over a 9th grade soul vein in the northern region. But now, there were 10 level 9 soul lines in a small village. Was this the Divine Land? 10 level 9 soul lines can produce 900 soul stones every year. There are more than 2,000 families in Cloud Mountain Village, so it's not enough. But the most hateful thing is that the dragon race has come to make things worse. Li Yuntai clenched his fists, his eyes full of disgust and hatred. What do you mean by adding insult to injury? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Cloud Mountain Village is under the jurisdiction of Black Rock City. And the city lord of Black Rock City is a man of the dragons. He wants all villages and towns under the jurisdiction of Black Rock City to hand over soul stones to the city lord mansion every year. If you can't or refuse to hand them over, you will be slaughtered by the dragons. Li Yuntai said. What? Qin Feiyang was shocked. If you can't or refuse to hand them over, you will be slaughtered by the dragons? That was too inhumane. Wait. The dragons were not human, so it was normal for them to be inhumane. But this kind of behavior was too much. There are more than 2,000 households in Cloud Mountain Village, and about 10,000 people in total, old and young. That is to say, we have to hand over at least 100,000 soul stones every year. Brother Gao, think about it. Cloud Mountain Village has 10 level 9 soul veins, but we can only produce 900 soul stones a year. 100,000, 900. How much is the difference? So, we basically go out to search for treasures every day and exchange them for soul stones. Li Yuntai sighed. Qin Feiyang said, then you are really working hard. We have no choice but to survive. Because of the cruelty of the dragons, the humans of Godly Land are basically supporting Qin Badian. I hope that one day, he can really overthrow the dragon's rule and give us a fair treatment. Li Yuntai said. Qin Feiyang asked, you mean, all the humans of Godly Land are facing such a situation? Godly Land is too big. The place we are now is in the north of Godly Land, just the tip of the iceberg. The farthest place I have ever been is Black Rock City. So, I really don't know if the humans of other places are in the same situation as Cloud Mountain Village. Maybe they hand over fewer soul stones than we do, or maybe they hand over more. Li Yuntai said. 100,000. Based on the number of people, each of you has to hand over 10 soul stones a year. To ordinary people, this is indeed not a small sum. Qin Feiyang nodded. That's right. In short, the villages around here are full of complaints about the dragons. However, they don't dare to voice their anger. Except for the dragons, no one can afford to offend them. Li Yuntai shook his head, his face full of sadness. The dragons? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. Why is there another dragon-slaying palace? He asked suspiciously, who is this dragon-slaying palace? It seems that Brother Gao really doesn't know anything about Qin Badian. The Dragon Slayer Palace is a force that Qin Badian created to deal with the dragon race. And Qin Badian was called Dizun because of this. Li Yuntai said. So that's what happened. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. It seemed that his ancestors were doing well in Godly Land. How many people are there in the dragons? Where are they located? Qin Feiyang looked at Li Yuntai curiously. I'm afraid not only me, but most people in Godly Land don't know how many people there are in the dragons. As for the location of the dragons, it's very mysterious. No one knows. But these years, there has been a saying in Godly Land. Li Yuntai said. What saying? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Li Yuntai said, the dragons have 4 emperors, 8 emperors, and 108 generals. Each of these people has extraordinary abilities. They are the pillars of the dragons. 4 emperors, 8 emperors, 108 generals? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He asked suspiciously, what does that mean? 4 emperors means 4 Dizun. 8 emperors means 8 divine emperors. 108 generals means that there are 108 battle generals. Li Yuntai said. According to you, Qin Badian is only one of the 4 emperors of the dragon-slaying palace? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. Li Yuntai nodded. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, who are the other 3 Dizun? They must be extraordinary to be on an equal footing with his ancestors. I knew it. In addition to Qin Badian, there is a man named Lu Xingyang. It is said that he is as strong as Qin Badian. As for the other two Dizun, they never show up, so no one knows who they are. Even the dragons don't know who they are. Li Yuntai said. Even the dragons don't know who they are? Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. How mysterious was that? However, he didn't expect that Lu Xingyang was also one of the 4 Dizun. It seemed that the ancestor of the Lu family lived up to his reputation. He really wanted to see the power of the 4 emperors, 8 emperors, and 108 generals. Wait! The black-armored man who appeared at the seaside 5 days ago was as strong as the leader of the Black Dragons. Was he one of the 4 emperors, 8 emperors, and 108 generals? That was a bit scary. Qin Feiyang came to his senses and asked, since the dragons are so powerful and you hate dragons so much, why don't you join them? I do want to, but with my cultivation, I don't think they will take me seriously. Although I don't know what conditions are required to join the dragons, I know that such a mysterious organization is not something you can join whenever you want. Besides, there is a great risk in joining the dragons. If your identity is exposed, you won't be the only one who will suffer. You will also implicate your family and friends. Therefore, people like me, who lack courage and strength, can only silently support the dragon-slaying palace in spirit. Li Yuntai said. Understandable. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. Suddenly, he said, I heard from Xiao Feng and Xiao He that there is another consummate divine emperor in Cloud Mountain Village besides you. What's his name? Li Yuntai smiled and said, You mean Li Dashan? Yes, him. Qin Feiyang nodded. They went to Black Rock City this morning and said that they would be back in a few days. Do you want to see them? Li Yuntai asked. No. After all, he is one of the only 2 consummate divine emperors in Cloud Mountain Village. I was just curious. Qin Feiyang smiled and said. Brother Gao, there are some things that I shouldn't tell you because this is a private matter of Cloud Mountain Village. But since you were brought into the village by my daughter, should be responsible for your safety. Li Yuntai hesitated for a moment. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said solemnly. Chapter 2343. Qin Feiyang was stunned and said, Brother Li, what is it? Judging from our conversation just now, you don't seem to be a person with ulterior motives. From now on, no matter how long you stay in Yunshan village, I won't object. But you must be careful of Li Dashan. Especially your Qinkuan bag and Qinkuan ring. Keep them safe. Even if you have something important, you must not let him know. Li Yuntai said. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang was curious. This person is cunning, vicious and merciless. Furthermore, he only seeks profit. If you offend him or he covets your treasures, I'm afraid even I can't help you. Li Yuntai said. Oh, that's it. Qin Feiyang smiled and cupped his hands. Thank you for your reminder, Brother Li. I'll be more careful in the future. All right then. I'm going back to rest. Li Yuntai finished the last cup of tea and got up with a smile. But his eyes were fixed on the teapot next to Qin Feiyang, as if he really wanted it but was too embarrassed to ask. Qin Feiyang couldn't help laughing. Then he grabbed the teapot and got up to put it in Li Yuntai's hands. Brother Gao, this, Li Yuntai was a little hesitant. Was he really going to give it to him? Brother Li, I said I'll give it to you, so I'll give it to you. You must accept it. Qin Feiyang said. Li Yuntai looked at Qin Feiyang in shock. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion, so I'm going to stay in Yunshan village for a while. Take this half a pot of tea as my accommodation fee. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Okay. Since Brother Gao is so kind, I'll accept it. Have a good rest, Brother Gao. I won't disturb you. Li Yuntai said with a smile. Qin Feiyang said, I won't see you off. Take care. No need, no need. Li Yuntai waved his hand and left with the teapot in his arms. After seeing Li Yuntai off, Qin Feiyang withdrew his gaze and walked out of the pavilion, looking at the full moon in the sky. Dragon-slaying palace, for emperors and 8 sovereigns, this is getting more and more interesting. As he muttered to himself, a trace of a smile appeared on his face. He then turned and entered the pavilion. The layout of the attic was very simple. Entering the door, there was a living room with a wooden coffee table and 3 chairs neatly placed. In the corner, there were a few potted plants. There were 2 small rooms in the living room. As for the second floor, there were 3 rooms in total. There was a study room, a bedroom, and a cultivation room. Outside the bedroom was a balcony, facing the mountain in front. Standing here, the entire village could be seen at a glance. The more Qin Feiyang looked at this place, the more he liked it. He was also serious about cultivating in seclusion. Because now, he had nothing to do, and the ancestor did not give him any mission. As for the dragons, with his strength, there was no way he could shake them. Therefore, instead of running around aimlessly, it was better to stop and cultivate for a period of time. When Qin Feiyang entered the castle, he told the White-Eyed Wolf and Fire Lotus about this idea. Fire Lotus and White-Eyed Wolf were also very much in agreement. The night passed peacefully. Early the next morning, a young man and a young woman ran to the front of the attic. It was Li Feng and Li He. Li He looked around and did not see Qin Feiyang, so she was about to call out. Li Feng quickly pulled Li He and frowned. Xiao He, I still think this is not good. It's okay. Senior Gao is very easygoing. He will definitely help us. Li He said. But, Li Feng was hesitant. They had known each other for less than a day. How could he ask for help? Senior Gao. Li He spoke. Sigh. Li Feng wanted to stop her, but it was too late. He sighed helplessly and looked at the attic anxiously. Soon, the door opened. Qin Feiyang walked out slowly and looked at the 2 of them with a smile. Good morning. After cultivating in seclusion for a night, his cultivation had improved a lot. Coupled with the environment here, he was naturally in a good mood. Greetings, Senior Gao. Li Feng hurriedly bowed. Don't be so formal. Don't call me senior in the future. I'm not that old. Just call me Brother Gao. Qin Feiyang smiled. This, Li Feng hesitated and nodded. All right, Brother Gao. What's wrong? Why did you come to me so early in the morning? Is there something wrong? Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 of them and asked. Li He was about to speak when Li Feng hurriedly stopped her. It's nothing. We just came to ask Brother Gao if you're used to living here. Qin Feiyang glanced at Li He and smiled. It's such a good place. Of course I'm used to it. It's good that you're used to it. Then we won't disturb you. After saying that, Li Feng pulled Li He and prepared to leave. I'm not leaving. Li He shook off Li Feng and ran to Qin Feiyang, giggling. Brother Gao, are you free now? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Li He looked at Qin Feiyang expectantly and asked, then can you accompany us to a place? Xiao He. Li Feng scolded. It's fine. Qin Feiyang waved his hand at Li Feng, looked at Li He and asked with a smile, where are we going? Li He said, you'll know when we get there. All right. Anyway, I have nothing to do. Qin Feiyang nodded. See? I knew Brother Gao wouldn't be that kind of cold person. Li He immediately looked at Li Feng proudly. Li Feng smiled bitterly. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at the 2 of them. Then let's go. Li He pointed to the east of the village and said, Brother Gao, you're fast. Take us there. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. He waved his hand, rolled up the 2 of them, and flew to the south of the village like a flash of lightning. But Qin Feiyang didn't know that. At this moment, on the balcony of an attic halfway up the mountain, two middle-aged men had been watching him. These two men were Li Yuan and Li Yuntai. "Brother Yuntai, are you just going to watch him leave with Xiao Feng and Xiao He?" Li Yuan looked at Li Yuntai anxiously and asked. Li Yuntai said unhappily, "These two children are indeed a little mischievous. Brother Yuntai, now is not the time to blame them. This Gao Xiaosan has an unknown background. What if he has some ulterior motives for our village? We have to be careful." Li Yuan said. "Our Cloud Mountain village is poor and empty. What could he possibly want? Don't worry. I went to sound him out last night. He doesn't seem to be a bad guy." Li Yuntai smiled. "You may know a person for a long time without understanding his true nature," Li Yuan exclaimed. Li Yuntai looked at Li Yuan and pondered for a while. He nodded and said, "That makes sense. Then I'll have to trouble you to keep an eye on him." "You mean you're really going to keep him in the village?" "He's my brother too. We should get rid of people with unknown backgrounds like him as soon as possible." "What are you thinking?" Li Yuan couldn't help but feel helpless. "Don't be so nervous. Time will tell. Let's observe him for a while," Li Yuntai said and flew into the air. "Where are you going?" Li Yuan looked at him suspiciously. Li Yuntai said, "To the Seven Birds Mountain again." "Again?" Li Yuan was shocked and said hurriedly, "Weren't you injured at the Seven Birds Mountain enough? I have to go even if it's dangerous. As long as we can get that treasure, we won't have to worry about handing in soul stones for the next 5 years." Li Yuntai said. Li Yuan fell silent. After a while, he gritted his teeth and said to Li Yuntai, "I'll go with you." "No need." Li Yuntai waved his hand and said, "You just take care of the village." "No. I can't rest assured if you're alone," Li Yuan said. Li Yuntai shook his head and said, "Okay, one more person is one more helper. But remember, don't be impulsive." "Am I the kind of person who will be impulsive?" Li Yuan glared at him with dissatisfaction. Li Yuntai shook his head and smiled. The two immediately flew into the sky and flew toward the mountains in the west. In the east, the mountains were undulating and boundless. Qin Feiyang took Li Feng and Li Yuntai and flew over the mountains as fast as lightning. Li Feng suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang and said enviously, "Brother Gao, if only I could have your strength." Qin Feiyang was stunned and said, "Then I want to ask you, why do you want strength?" "I want to go out and protect Cloud Village. I also want to." Speaking of this, Li Feng's words stopped abruptly. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Li Feng suspiciously. He found that there was not only anger but also fear on Li Feng's face at the moment. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Do you want to say dragons but don't dare to?" "How do you know?" Li Feng was surprised. "I guessed." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "Dragons, these bastards, bully people too much. Not only do they come every year to snatch soul stones, but they also often bully people. They don't treat us as human beings at all." Li Feng snorted coldly. Qin Feiyang said, "So you want to destroy the dragons?" "Yes." Li Feng nodded. "But then..." He lowered his head powerlessly and said dejectedly, "Unfortunately, I don't have the ability. You have to have confidence in yourself. Just like me, when I was at your cultivation level, the enemies I faced were also very strong, but now they are all under my feet one by one." Qin Feiyang smiled and said. Li Feng's eyes lit up, and said, "Then can you tell me, how did you do it?" 4 words, courage, confidence. As long as you have courage and confidence, there is nothing in this world that cannot be done. Qin Feiyang said. "Courage, confidence," Li Feng muttered, as if he had understood something, and said gratefully, "Thank you for your teachings, Brother Gao." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Suddenly, He seemed to have thought of something, turned his head to look at Li Feng, and asked, "You just said that dragons not only snatched soul stones, but also bullied people and women?" "Yes." Li Feng nodded. Then he glanced at Li He, who was beside him, and sent a sound transmission. Dragons bullying people and women is not something that happened in a day or two. It is also because of this that the village chief has never allowed Xiao He to leave the village. Qin Feiyang nodded his head in realization. Back then in the northern region, when the dragons descended, they had ulterior motives towards the Shangguan sisters. And that fire dragon was also drooling over the fire lotus. And now, the same was true in the divine prefecture. It seemed that these guys from the dragons had a special liking for human women. Chapter 23:44. Mountains and rivers rose and fell endlessly. In the mountains, beasts ran rampant. Even the weakest beast was a warlord. It was almost impossible to find one below the pseudo-god realm. However, under Qin Feiyang's deterrence, no beast dared to jump out and block the way. However, Qin Feiyang was a little confused. He looked at Li He and Li Feng and asked, "Are the weakest beasts in the divine land all warlords?" "No, no," Li Feng quickly waved his hand. "Then why haven't we met a single ferocious beast below the warlord level?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Li Feng said, "Because the beasts around our village are generally stronger." Li He asked, "Brother Gao, don't you know what happened half a month ago?" "Half a month ago?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Half a month ago, wasn't it when he entered the divine land and fought with the dragons?" "Half a month ago. I don't know what happened, but there was a terrifying battle fluctuation from the North Sea. That was the most terrifying scene I have ever seen in my life. Wherever the battle fluctuation went, mountains and rivers were shattered, and people were plunged into misery and suffering. We were also extremely scared at that time, and the whole village was ready to escape. But just as the battle fluctuation was about to reach the vicinity of Cloud Mountain Village, that is, the mountain where we met began to gradually calm down. Cloud Mountain Village finally dodged a disaster. After that, the battle fluctuation never appeared again." Li Feng couldn't help but tremble as he spoke. His eyes were full of fear. "So that's how it is." Qin Feiyang nodded and said, "In other words, all the people and beasts below the warlord level died in that catastrophe?" "Yes. From our Cloud Mountain Village to the North Sea, I don't know how many villages, humans, and beasts there were. And just half a month ago, all of them died tragically. Until now, everyone is still talking about what happened in the North Sea." Li Feng said. Qin Feiyang asked, "Did anyone go to the North Sea to check it out?" "Who dares to go? Such a terrifying fluctuation, it must be some peerless powerhouses or terrifying beasts fighting. If we unfortunately encounter them, wouldn't it be a dead end?" Li Feng said. "That makes sense." Qin Feiyang nodded. Li Feng said, "Because of that disaster, the area from our Cloud Mountain Village to the North Sea has become a forbidden zone in the north." Qin Feiyang sighed secretly. He had no intention of implicating these innocent people, but most of the time, it was not up to him to decide. This was war. It was cruel and merciless. No longer thinking about these questions, Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and asked with a smile, "Where are you going?" "Don't worry, we'll be there soon." Li He giggled. There was a trace of anticipation and desire in her big bright eyes. Qin Feiyang saw this but did not say anything. About an hour passed. In front of him, a mountain ridge that was shaped like a giant python that reached into the clouds appeared in his line of sight. Right at this moment, Li He quickly looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Brother Gao, stop." Qin Feiyang slammed on the brakes and brought the two of them to a stop in the void. Li He pointed to the mountain ridge and said, "Brother Gao, that's where we're going." Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He raised his head and scanned the mountain ridge. The mountain ridge was hundreds of miles long and stretched up and down. It was lush with vegetation and countless ferocious beasts. Moreover, somewhere in the mountain ridge, he also sensed the ferocious power of a perfected divine lord. Wait! Suddenly, he frowned and scanned the void with a trace of suspicion in his eyes. He felt that the essence chi here was particularly rich. There is a level 9 crystal vein under the mountain ridge, but it is occupied by a ferocious beast. Brother Gao, you are so strong. Can you help us drive it away? Li He raised her head and looked at Qin Feiyang. Her eyes were filled with pleading. Level 9 crystal vein? Qin Feiyang was stunned. No wonder the essence chi here was so rich. It turned out that there was a crystal vein hidden here. When he came back to his senses, Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and asked, "How did you know there was a crystal vein here?" "My father found it. But because there are too many ferocious beasts here and there is a perfected divine Lord Beast King, my father has been helpless. That's why I thought of asking you for help this morning. My father has worked hard for the village. It's really not easy. I want to help him, but I'm not capable enough. Brother Gao, please, help me, okay?" Li He looked at Qin Feiyang with a pleading face. Brother Gao, Xiao He's request is indeed too abrupt, but she also wants the good of the village. I also beg you to help us. Li Feng looked at Li He and Qin Feiyang, bowed and begged. Wait. Qin Feiyang hurriedly reached out to stop the two of them and frowned. Aren't you too naive? The two of them looked at each other. What did he mean? A level 9 crystal vein is already a rare treasure. Have you never thought that I would be tempted by your wealth, kill you, and swallow this crystal vein? Qin Feiyang said. So that's why. The two of them suddenly understood. Li He smiled innocently and said, Brother Gao, you're a good person. You won't. Qin Feiyang was angry and wanted to laugh. How long had they known each other? She actually asserted that he was a good person? This innocence was too scary. If this went on, something big would happen. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He looked at the two of them and said, Now, both of you, prick up your ears and listen carefully. The two of them nodded and looked at Qin Feiyang silently. From now on, no matter who you meet, no matter how easygoing they are, don't trust them easily. Because the human heart is very complicated. If you're not careful, you'll lose your life. Understand? Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Thank you for your teachings, Brother Gao. I understand. Li Feng nodded heavily. What about you? Qin Feiyang looked at Li He. Yes. Li He also nodded. Qin Feiyang shook his head. In order to protect his daughter, Li Yuntai had been letting her stay in the village. But he didn't know that this was also harming her. If she wanted to survive in today's environment, she had to learn to be independent. Because no one could protect her for a lifetime. Sooner or later, she would have to face this cruel world. Phew. Qin Feiyang let out a long breath and said, You two stay here. The two of them nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and a divine barrier appeared to protect the two of them. Following closely, he turned around and flew towards the mountain ridge. Will Brother Gao be okay? Looking at Qin Feiyang's back, Li Feng couldn't help but worry. Don't worry. Even that golden falcon is Brother Gao's opponent. He will definitely be fine. Li He was full of confidence in Qin Feiyang. Soon, Qin Feiyang flew over the mountain ridge. The aura of the fierce beasts was also more obvious. In addition to the perfect Sir God fierce beast, there were more than a dozen perfect Sir God fierce beasts. There were hundreds of great success, small success, and early Sir God fierce beasts. Indeed, such a terrifying group of fierce beasts, for Cloud Mountain Village, would never be able to defeat. But for Qin Feiyang, it was nothing at all. I will take the crystal veins here. If you don't want to die, leave immediately. His voice was like a bell, resounding through the sky. So arrogant? Li Feng was dumbfounded. Originally, he thought that Qin Feiyang might come up with a plan, but he didn't expect it to be so direct and violent. Looking at that domineering figure, Li He's eyes were full of stars. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang, a giant black python soared into the sky. Its body was more than 100 feet long. Its body was covered with snake scales. Two huge pupils stared at Qin Feiyang, flashing a shocking cold light. Qin Feiyang looked at the black python and said lightly, "I don't want to hurt you. Don't force me to make a move. Please leave on your own initiative." Presumptuous. Where do you think this place is? Within tens of thousands of miles, there has never been a human who dared to provoke this emperor. The black python was furious. 3. 2. Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear to him as he counted word by word. Really courting death. Come out for this emperor and kill him. As the black python's roar landed, a large number of fierce beasts rose into the air from the mountain ridge below. As big as a mountain and as small as a rock, there were all kinds of fierce beasts. They were densely packed, and their fierce aura shrouded all directions. Although Li He and Li He were protected by Qin Feiyang's enchantment, at this moment, looking at the beast-like beast tide, their scalps couldn't help but tingle. As soon as hundreds of fierce beasts appeared, they bared their fangs and rushed to Qin Feiyang. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed. He was already trying very hard to control his killing intent. This was because he really didn't want to become a cold-blooded person. But these fierce beasts didn't give him the chance. The fierce beasts of the divine prefecture were like dragons. They saw humans as weeds, ants, and food. If you didn't kill them, they would kill you. They would even eat you alive. Clang! As he waved his hand, 80 sword shadows appeared out of nowhere, their sharp edges destroying the world. Roar! In just an instant, the fierce beasts below perfected divine lord level all cried out as their blood splattered across the sky. Damn it! The black python was furious. It personally led the dozen or so perfected divine lord fierce beasts to attack Qin Feiyang. Furthermore, the black python also possessed a perfect deity incantation. It had even activated its fighting soul. Its strength was also extremely terrifying. If it were any other small divine lord, they would have died without a doubt. But Qin Feiyang was fearless. Boom! A strange and unfathomable power roared out of his body and rushed towards the black python like a tide. The black python's eyes were full of contempt. But when it was submerged by the invisible force, it suddenly panicked. Because it realized that this force could ignore all defenses and go straight to its sea of consciousness. The next moment, the huge black python let out a wail and its huge body fell powerlessly to the ground. Behind it, the perfected divine lord fierce beasts were horrified when they saw this. What kind of technique was this? They couldn't even find a scratch on it. Immediately, they didn't dare to continue charging forward. They stopped in the void and trembled. Get lost! Qin Feiyang shouted. Yes, yes, yes. The dozen fierce beasts nodded and then turned to run for their lives. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and swept across the mountain ridge below. Bang! The black python fell and smashed a section of the mountain ridge into pieces. The weaker ferocious beasts that were still hiding in the mountain range all fled when they saw this scene. In less than 10 breaths, the area within a radius of 10,000 miles fell into a dead silence. Not even a mosquito could be found. Chapter 23:45. So powerful. A grand perfection divine lord fierce beast was directly insta-killed. Li He and Li Feng were dumbfounded. This strength was even stronger than what they saw yesterday. Qin Feiyang did not use it. What he used before was the soul destruction technique. The soul destruction technique was a legendary level divine art. It ignored all defenses and directly wiped out the divine soul. This was an extremely terrifying killing technique, enough to threaten any creature of the same realm. Divine sense emerged and poured into the mountain ridge below. Immediately, Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. Boom! With a wave of his hand, the mountain ridge shattered. A huge crystal vein quickly broke out of the ground and appeared in front of Qin Feiyang's eyes. The crystal vein could be more than 100 feet long. Its whole body was as white as jade, crystal clear and shining with dazzling light. This is a crystal vein, Qin Feiyang murmured. He had seen a spirit vein before, but it was the first time he had seen a crystal vein. It looked like a white dragon. The density of the essence energy was almost solid. Qin Feiyang stood in front of the crystal vein as if he was standing in a sea of essence energy. The pores all over his body involuntarily opened and actively absorbed. A 9th level crystal vein, the essence energy is so dense. What about a divine level crystal vein? Qin Feiyang murmured. His heart couldn't help but burn. He must get a few divine level crystal veins to go to the Black Tortoise world. No. How could a few be enough? At least hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of them. At that time, even if there were no soul stones, his cultivation speed would be rapid. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Qin Feiyang waved his hand again. Sparkling and translucent divine crystals gushed out from the broken ground. These divine crystals were produced by this 9th level crystal vein. There were tens of millions. Obviously, this 9th level crystal vein had existed for many years. Because the annual production of the crystal vein was very low. As for the specific amount, Qin Feiyang didn't know yet. Tens of millions of divine crystals, Qin Feiyang naturally put them into his pocket. As for the crystal vein, he was also a little tempted. But when he saw the eager eyes of Li He and Li He, he couldn't bear it. It was better to give it to them. He couldn't ruin his good impression just because of a mere level 9 crystal vein. With a wave of his hand, Qin Feiyang's god force surged out, sweeping up the crystal vein and sending it flying towards the duo. But suddenly, he stopped again and lowered his head to look at the mountain ridge. A trace of bewilderment crept into his eyes. When he scanned the area with his divine perception, he seemed to have seen something else. His divine will appeared again and merged with the mountain ridge below. As expected, Qin Feiyang mumbled. He grabbed at the air, and an earthen yellow light immediately broke through the ground and landed in his hand. It looked like a fruit. It was about the size of a fist and was yellow in color. There were many roots on it. However, its shape was extremely strange. It looked like a chubby child. He could even see the outline of the nose, eyes, and mouth. It was very real. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. He had never seen this item before, but he seemed to have some impression of it. This situation was definitely because of the alchemy scripture. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang immediately sent a secret message to the fire lotus in the castle. What is Brother Gao doing? Li He and Li Feng stood inside the barrier and looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Because Qin Feiyang's back was facing them, they didn't see the thing in Qin Feiyang's hand. They only knew that another thing flew out from the ground. Qin Dage, you found a treasure this time. Soon. Fire Lotus's voice sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind with unconcealable excitement. Tell me. When Qin Feiyang heard this, he also became impatient. This thing is a divine ginseng. Its full name is the Mother Earth Chaos Divine Ginseng. It was born after absorbing the qi of the earth and essence qi for 10,000 years. The Mother Earth Chaos Divine Ginseng contains extremely majestic essence qi. It is the main ingredient for refining Chaos Divine pills. Fire Lotus said. No wonder I have an impression of it. Qin Feiyang mumbled. We've only been in the Divine Land for half a month, and we've already found the Nirvana Divine Tree and the Mother Earth Chaos Divine Ginseng. This Divine Land is indeed full of treasures. Fire Lotus smiled. Yes. Qin Feiyang replied. However, he had to thank Li Feng and Li He. If it weren't for these two little ones who brought him here, he wouldn't have found this divine ginseng at all. Then keep it well. Qin Feiyang whispered and sent the divine ginseng to the ancient castle. Then, he took the crystal vein and flew to the barrier. With a wave of his hand, the barrier immediately disappeared. Brother Gao, you're so awesome. Li He immediately ran to Qin Feiyang and said excitedly. Her eyes were full of little stars. It was like looking at an idol. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. Are we going back now or what? We were going back immediately. When everyone sees us bringing this crystal vein back, they'll be stunned. Li He said excitedly. Li Feng was also very excited. He asked, Brother Gao, what was that thing that flew out later? A medicinal herb. It just so happens that I need it for alchemy. Qin Feiyang smiled. You're also an alchemist? Li Feng looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Li Feng immediately asked, then what level is your spiritual power? Can you teach me alchemy? You have spiritual power too? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. My spiritual power is very low. It's only level 15. Li Feng lowered his head and said disappointedly. Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Level 15 spiritual power was low? One had to know. Level 15 spiritual power in the Great Qin and the Forgotten Continent was a genius that all forces would fight for. This divine land was indeed different. No matter what it was, it couldn't be looked at with the same eyes as before. I'm just an ordinary alchemist. My spiritual power is even lower than yours, so I can't teach you anything. Qin Feiyang laughed. Teaching people was the most troublesome thing. He didn't want to bring trouble to himself. Hearing this, Li Feng couldn't help but feel a trace of disappointment in his eyes. But he quickly put it down. He lowered his head to look at the black python and asked, Brother Gao, can I bring it back as well? Why do you want to bring it back? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. A perfect monarch god beast could be sold for a lot of divine crystals at the treasure pavilion in the Black Rock City. Treasure pavilion, Qin Feiyang muttered. He wondered if the treasure pavilion in the divine land would take care of him like the treasure pavilion in the 4 major regions. Although the treasure pavilion was also under the rule of the dragons, to be able to spread throughout the entire ancient world, its influence was definitely not weak. Therefore, being on good terms with the treasure pavilion would be helpful to him. Is that okay? Brother Gao? Li Feng asked again. Qin Feiyang came back to his senses and smiled. Why not? Okay. Li Feng swooped down, carried the black python, and returned to the village. More than half an hour passed. The 3 of them finally returned to the village. Without a doubt. As soon as they entered the village, it caused a huge sensation. This is a level 9 crystal vein. And this python, girl, this isn't the crystal vein that your father found, is it? People surrounded Qin Feiyang and the other 2, looking at Li He in surprise and asking at once. Yes. Li He nodded. This, you. The group of people was so shocked that they couldn't speak. They also knew about this crystal vein and the black python. Because in the past, they had also tried to snatch the crystal vein from the black python. But every time, they failed. Therefore, they knew how dangerous that place was. But now, not only was the python dead, but the crystal vein was also brought back. How incredible was this? They watched Li Feng and Li He grow up, so they knew that they definitely didn't have this ability. Then, it must be this person called Gao Xiaosan. In an instant, everyone looked at Qin Feiyang in unison. But looking at Qin Feiyang, everyone's expression immediately froze. There was no injury on his body at all? What was going on? If the python was really killed by this person, then he should have injuries on his body. Because the python was a perfected divine lord, and this person was only a lesser divine lord. Was it not him? If it wasn't this person, nor was it Li He or Li Feng, then who was it? To kill a perfected divine lord beast, he had to at least have the cultivation of a perfected divine lord. Xiao He, Xiao Feng, what's going on? Don't hide it, tell everyone honestly. An elder looked at Li Feng and Li He and asked. It's Brother Gao. Li He said proudly. It's really him? Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang again, full of disbelief. Seeing that everyone still didn't believe it, Li Feng said, Brother Gao is very strong. This python was killed in an instant, and this crystal vein was also obtained by Brother Gao. Really? Hearing Li Feng's words, everyone looked at Qin Feiyang again. They wanted to see the person's answer. It wasn't that they didn't believe it, but it was hard to believe. For a mere small perfection divine lord to insta-kill a perfection divine lord ferocious beast, wasn't this a fantasy story? It's not as exaggerated as Xiao Feng said. It's all luck. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Luck? Everyone looked at each other. This answer really made them speechless. However, since the person involved had already answered directly, this matter should be true. Brother Gao, you're amazing. I really didn't expect you to be so strong. Thank you too. You got this level 9 crystal vein for us. You don't have to be polite in the future. Stay in the village and play as long as you want. If you need anything, feel free to come to us. Everyone spoke one after another with smiles on their faces. Thank you. Qin Feiyang smiled. Xiao He, go find your father. Your father has been eyeing this crystal vein for many years. When he sees it, he will definitely jump with joy. Several elders looked at Li He and smiled. Okay. Li He took the lead and flew towards the mountainside in high spirits. Swish. But at this moment, suddenly, a bloody figure appeared in the sky above the village entrance. The smell of blood permeated the air above the village. Everyone looked over in surprise. Li Yuan. Li Yuan, how did you become like this? What happened? Everyone immediately rushed to Li Yuan, their faces full of surprise and worry. Uncle Yuan? Li He and Li Feng were stunned. Then, the two of them immediately ran over. Qin Feiyang turned his head to look at Li Yuan with a trace of suspicion in his eyes. How could he be so seriously injured? Immortal God of War, immortal God of War. Chapter 2346. Crystal Vein? Giant Python? After Li Yuan appeared, his eyes widened when he saw the crystal vein and the giant python. Was it an illusion? Why were the crystal vein and the giant python in the village? Li He rushed up and asked with concern, Uncle Yuan, what's wrong with you? Li Yuan shuddered and suddenly came back to his senses. He hurriedly looked at the villagers around him and shouted, Go and save Brother Yuntai. Not only was he covered in wounds, but his face was also pale. Save the village chief? Everyone looked at each other. The village chief is in the Seven Birds Mountain, besieged by 3 great perfection divine lord beasts. He is in danger. Li Yuan roared. What? 7 Birds Mountain. What is he doing there? Everyone was shocked and seemed to be very afraid of the 7 Birds Mountain. There's no time to explain. Those above the divine lord level, hurry up and come with me to help the village chief. Li Yuan was burning with anxiety. After saying that, he ignored his injuries and opened a teleportation altar. However, the villagers did not move. His face was filled with fear that could not be erased. What are you doing? Didn't you hear that the village chief is in trouble? Li Yuan roared. Li Yuan, calm down. Everyone within hundreds of thousands of miles knows about the danger of the 7 Birds Mountain. With our cultivation base, we won't be able to return. A few old men said. Li Yuan said angrily, then don't you care about the village chief's life and death? What can we do? If Li Dashan is here, with his cultivation base, he can still help. And we are simply going to die. A few middle-aged men sighed. They were all great perfection divine lords, but their faces were full of despair. From this, it could be seen. The Seven Birds Mountain was indeed not a simple place. Father is in trouble. How can we not save him? Everyone, think of a way. Li He was also extremely anxious, looking helplessly at the villagers around her. But no one spoke. They all lowered their heads. Li Feng suddenly turned around and ran to Qin Feiyang, saying, Brother Gao, please, save the village chief. That's right. And Brother Gao, Li He also shuddered. She turned around and ran to Qin Feiyang, saying, Brother Gao, you are so strong. You can definitely save my father. Please, help him. The surrounding villagers finally came to their senses. How could he forget about this person? If he could even kill the black python, then he might really be able to save the village chief. Brother Gao, please help me. Xiao He lost her mother in her early years. The father and daughter depend on each other for survival. It's not easy. Everyone began to speak up. Looking at this scene, Li Yuan was extremely bewildered. What was going on? Why was everyone looking at Gao Shaosan? What use could he, a small success divine lord, be? Qin Feiyang glanced at the crowd, then looked at Li Feng and Li He. He shook his head and said, I'm a person who hates trouble. Li He's body trembled. She thought that Qin Feiyang didn't want to help and almost knelt down. Qin Feiyang sighed and said, however, the village chief kindly let me stay in the village. If I don't help, I'll feel bad, but only this time. Thank you, Brother Gao. Li He thanked him repeatedly. Qin Feiyang glanced at Li He, then stepped out and landed on the opened altar. Although Li Yuan was still doubting Qin Feiyang's strength, he had no other choice but to pray for a miracle. However, just as Li Yuan was about to jump onto the altar, Qin Feiyang asked, does this altar lead directly to the Seven Birds Mountain? Yes. Li Yuan nodded. Then you stay in the village to recuperate. I'll go alone. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, his figure quickly dissipated. Go alone? Li Yuan was stunned in the void. Uncle Yuan, don't worry. Brother Gao's strength is extraordinarily strong. Look at this giant python. He didn't do anything and killed it instantly. I believe that he can save the village chief. Li Feng comforted him. What? He killed the giant python instantly? Li Yuan was dumbfounded. Li He, who was standing at the side, was still worried as she looked at the disappearing altar. Bastards, I'll kill you. Cloud Mountain Village. In the west. In the depths of the mountain. An angry roar resounded through the sky. A bloody middle-aged man, holding a long black saber, was fighting with three beasts in the sky. This man was Li Yuntai. His body was full of wounds, deep to the bone, and blood kept flowing. His left arm was also gone, as if it had been torn off by the beasts. The long black saber in his hand was a supreme-grade divine artifact. But it was useless. Because the three beasts all had perfect divine techniques. And they were all perfect divine emperors, which was a small realm higher than Li Yuntai. It wasn't easy for him to hold on until now. The three beasts were three black panthers. They were more than 10 meters long and moved faster than lightning. Their fangs were half a meter long. They looked like humans. Fight? You're just a perfect divine emperor ant. What can you fight with? You're really stupid. How dare you come here and steal our things? The three black panthers grinned hideously. The glowing Xiong had a cruel expression on his face. Boom! In the chaotic battle, one of the black panthers slapped Li Yuntai's back with its paw. Li Yuntai fell to the ground like a meteorite with a cry of agony. The long black saber in his hand flew out. The other Black Panther grabbed the long black saber and laughed. This supreme-grade divine artifact is not bad. It's mine. After saying that, it erased the blood contract in the long black saber. Puff. Li Yuntai spat out another mouthful of blood and fell into the mountains with a loud boom. Boom. Everything within tens of thousands of miles was razed to the ground. A huge crater appeared where Li Yuntai had crashed into. He lay at the bottom of the crater like a bloody man. He looked up at the 3 Black Panthers in the sky, his face full of despair. His injuries were serious enough. Now, even his divine artifact was stolen. Was he really going to die here today? Daughter, I'm sorry. I can't take care of you anymore. You have to live well. Li Yi's figure appeared in his mind. He was full of regret. Why did he come to the 7 Birds Mountain? If he died, who would take care of his daughter for him? Bastard, I won't let you go even if I die, all of a sudden. Li Yuntai roared hysterically. Then, he shot up into the sky. A destructive aura surged out of his body. What? The 3 Black Panthers were shocked. He was going to self-destruct. Quick, kill him. One of the Black Panthers shouted. The self-destruction of a perfect divine emperor could destroy the world. No matter how fast they were, they couldn't escape unless they had spatial divine artifacts. But they didn't. So, they could only bite the bullet and rush toward Li Yuntai. They only hoped that they could shatter Li Yuntai's sea of qi or end his life before he self-destructed. It's worth it to die with you 3 beast emperors. Li Yuntai seemed to have gone crazy. What a lunatic. The 3 Black Panthers cursed. Whoosh. But at this moment, a figure appeared in the void not far away. It was Qin Feiyang. This aura, as soon as Qin Feiyang appeared, he immediately sensed the terrifying destructive wave. He quickly looked toward the source of the aura. When he saw Li Yuntai's madness, his face suddenly changed. He shouted, "Stop!" His voice was as loud as a bell. It turned into an invisible sound wave and rolled toward Li Yuntai. Li Yuntai felt like he was struck by lightning. His mind was rumbling. The 3 Black Panthers also looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. But when they saw that Qin Feiyang was only a novice divine emperor, their eyes were full of disdain. I told you to stop. Qin Feiyang shouted again. Li Yuntai immediately stopped self-destructing. He turned around and quickly rushed to Qin Feiyang. He said angrily, "Brother Gao, what are you doing here?" There was a hint of concern in his voice. "Your daughter asked me to come and save you," Qin Feiyang said indifferently. Then, he looked at the 3 Black Panthers. "Save me?" Li Yuntai was stunned. Boy, are you talking in your sleep? How dare you come to save him with your weak cultivation? I think you're just courting death. The 3 Black Panthers kept laughing. Their eyes were full of contempt. Then, they rushed toward Qin Feiyang and Li Yuntai fiercely. "Brother Gao, even I am no match for them, let alone you. Go now. Don't make unnecessary sacrifices. When you return to the village, tell Li Yuan to take good care of Lian, for me. She's my only daughter. I hope that she can continue to live a happy life." After saying that, Li Yuntai dashed toward the 3 black leopards. But just as he took a step forward, Qin Feiyang pressed him down. Then, without another word, he rushed towards the 3 Black Panthers. "Brother Gao," Li Yuntai exclaimed. Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear to him. He looked at the 3 Black Panthers and sneered, "I'd like to see if you have the right to look down on me." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, a blood-red divine seal appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. Divine Dragon Seal. As soon as the Divine Dragon Seal appeared, it became as big as a mountain and rushed toward the 3 Black Panthers. Roar! The 3 screams resounded in the sky. The 3 Black Panthers were sent flying on the spot. Their huge bodies cracked and blood flowed out. The divine dragon seal, on the other hand, was still floating in the void. Its blood-red light illuminated the sky and earth. What? How is this possible? Li Yuntai's eyes widened in anger. It seriously injured the 3 Black Panthers in an instant. One had to know. They were all perfected divine emperors. The 3 Black Panthers were also extremely shocked. What level of divine technique was it? How could it be so powerful? Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 beasts coldly and said, "How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? How dare you? How arrogant!" The 3 Black Panthers were furious. They performed divine techniques and rushed toward Qin Feiyang with murderous intent. Moreover, the black saber that they took from Li Yuntai also tore through the sky and slashed toward Qin Feiyang. "Brother Gao, watch out. Those are perfect divine techniques. And that saber used to be mine. It's a supreme-grade divine weapon." Li Yuntai quickly reminded him. Qin Feiyang was able to seriously injure the 3 Black Panthers because they were unprepared and did not use divine techniques or divine weapons. But it was different now. Perfect divine techniques and supreme-grade divine weapons. In addition to the gap in cultivation, the 3 Black Panthers were far more powerful than Qin Feiyang. Therefore, he could not help but worry. Chapter 2347. This was another ability of the Emperor Divine Prison, mind deprivation. Although the cultivation of the 3 Black Panthers was stronger than him, and although the imprisonment and deprivation only lasted for an instant, in a battle between experts of this level, an instant was enough to cost him his life. Clang! Just as the Emperor Prison was about to descend, the deity statue shattered the black arrows, turned around, and took a step forward to attack the 3 Black Panthers. Roar! Accompanied by 3 whales, the 3 Black Panthers were crushed on the spot, turning into a rain of blood that dyed the sky red. After their bodies were crushed, the divine souls of the 3 Black Panthers were lying in the void, trembling. It was too terrifying. How could a junior divine lord have so many terrifying means? In fact, they did not know that Qin Feiyang had shown them mercy. Otherwise, even their divine souls would have been crushed together with their bodies. "How are you?" Qin Feiyang ignored the 3 beasts and flew to Li Yuntai's side and asked. "I'm fine." Li Yuntai shook his head and scanned the mountains in front of him. That was where the black arrow came from. This meant. Who was hiding there? Qin Feiyang also looked up. The Emperor Divine Prison covered an area of tens of thousands of miles. But within tens of thousands of miles, other than the fierce beasts in the mountains, he did not sense anyone else. This meant that the person who attacked him should be outside the Emperor Divine Prison. Boom! Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. His spirit power surged out, surging towards the mountains and rivers tens of thousands of miles away. But he did not find anyone. After seeing your strength, he probably thought he was no match for you and ran away. But, as Li Yuntai said this, he swooped down and found a fragment of a black arrow on the ground. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang took a step and landed beside him. He looked at the broken pieces of the arrow and asked suspiciously. This material, it looks familiar. But I'm not sure. I'll give you an answer after I investigate it. Li Yuntai said to Qin Feiyang after looking at the fragment for a while. Qin Feiyang nodded. He raised his head to look at the souls of the 3 Black Panthers and shouted, "Get down here." The 3 beasts immediately flew in front of the 2, their eyes filled with fear. Are you still mad? Qin Feiyang sneered. No. We were wrong, sorry. Please be magnanimous and let us go. We don't want the God-class soul line either. We'll give it to you. The 3 beasts hurriedly begged. What? God-class soul line? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. The 3 beasts nodded repeatedly. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Li Yuntai. Li Yuntai sighed. To tell you the truth, Brother Gao, Li Yuan and I have come to the Seven Birds Mountain for the divine soul vein. There really is one? Qin Feiyang murmured, his eyes flashing. He didn't care about level 1 to level 9 soul lines, but he couldn't control himself when facing a god-class soul line. Li Yuntai rose into the air and looked at a broken mountain not far away. He then raised his right hand and a wave of divine power surged into the ground. Crack. Boom. Immediately, the earth began to tremble and crack open. Soon, a 1,000-foot-long soul line was forcefully pulled out from the ground by Li Yuntai's divine power. At first glance, it looked like a giant black dragon. Its light was dazzling, and boundless energy surged in the air like a flood. God-class soul line, Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. There was a huge difference between a God-class soul line and a level 9 soul line. A level 9 soul line could produce no more than 100 soul stones a year. But once a God-class soul line was upgraded, the output would double. A level 1 God-class soul line could produce 10,000 soul stones a year. How big was the difference? So, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but be tempted by this soul line. This is a level 1 God-class soul line. It can reduce the burden of Cloud Mountain Village. I wanted to take it back, but now, Li Yuntai's eyes were full of reluctance, but in the end, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, Brother Gao, since you defeated them, this soul line belongs to you. Qin Feiyang was taken aback and looked at Li Yuntai. Was he really willing to give it up? He wanted to know if Li Yuntai really wanted to give it to him. Or was he just pretending? But after a while, he didn't see any other emotions except reluctance. Li Yuntai took the soul line and landed beside Qin Feiyang. He said with a smile, Brother Gao, here you are. Qin Feiyang didn't refuse and put it into the Black Tortoise realm. Seeing the soul line disappear in front of him, Li Yuntai couldn't help but smile bitterly. It wasn't easy to get this soul line, but it fell into this man's pocket. However, this was what he should do. Not only did he defeat the 3 Black Panthers, but he also saved his life. A life-saving grace was more important than anything else. Qin Feiyang glanced at Li Yuntai and asked, have you prepared the soul stones you have to hand into the Black Rock City this year? We have only prepared more than 50,000, and we still need half. But there is still half a year before the end of the year. We should be able to make it. Li Yuntai said with a smile. But the smile was very forced. If he could bring this soul line back to the village, it would reduce the pressure of Cloud Mountain Village by 1/10. What a pity. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and thought for a while, then said, Fire Lotus, prepare 10 million soul stones for me. You are so generous. Fire Lotus was a little unhappy. Because she knew what Qin Feiyang wanted to do. Helping others is fun. Qin Feiyang smiled secretly. Okay. I will go prepare it now. Fire Lotus answered. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the long black saber in the distance flew over. He threw it to Li Yuntai and said with a smile, I guess everyone is still waiting for you. Go back first. A supreme-grade divine artifact was not enough for him. While speaking, he also took back his fighting soul and deactivated the Rising Dragon technique. Thank you. Li Yuntai said gratefully, then put away the long black saber, took out an altar and quickly opened it. He was afraid that Qin Feiyang would swallow the long black saber. Because it was the only supreme-grade divine artifact he had. And it was the strongest trump card of Cloud Mountain Village. However, he did not expect that Qin Feiyang would give it back to him without even looking at it. It seemed that Li Yuan's worry could be relieved. Although this person's background was unknown, he definitely had no intention of harming Cloud Mountain Village. After Qin Feiyang jumped onto the altar, he looked at the 3 Black Panthers' divine souls and said coldly, You 3 follow me. Okay. The 3 beasts nodded and jumped onto the altar. But they were very nervous. Because Qin Feiyang had said that he would take them back to the village to cook. That meant that he might stew them. Or maybe braise or steam them. That was not right. Now that their physical bodies were shattered and only their divine souls were left, it seemed that they could not be braised or steamed. Then why did he ask them to follow him? Soon, the 2 men and 3 beasts arrived at the village entrance. Sure enough, everyone did not leave, and there was a trace of worry on their faces. Especially Li He. Like ants on a hot pan, she was restless. But when they saw Qin Feiyang and Li Yuntai appear, they immediately cheered. Li He immediately threw herself into Li Yuntai's arms, crying. "It's okay, don't cry." Li Yuntai's face was full of love. Li Feng also heaved a sigh of relief. He walked to Qin Feiyang and said gratefully, "Brother Gao, thank you." The others were also very grateful. Chapter 23:48. Li Principal was a little stunned. He actually managed to save the village chief. How did he do it with 3 perfect monarch god black leopards? It was simply a miracle. The other people in the village also looked at Qin Feiyang with new eyes. And there was a trace of respect in everyone's eyes. This was respect for the strong. Before, although Li He and Li Feng both said that it was Qin Feiyang who killed the giant python and snatched the crystal vein, they still had some doubts. But now, they didn't dare to. Because if he didn't have some real ability, it was impossible to save the village chief. "It's you? You deserve to die." Suddenly, a roar was heard. Everyone was slightly stunned and turned to look at Li Yuan, only to see Li Yuan aggressively rushing towards the 3 black leopards' divine souls. Why are they here? Wait. It seems to be just divine souls. Village chief, Brother Gao, what's going on? People looked at Qin Feiyang and Li Yuntai in surprise. It was only now that they noticed the divine souls of the 3 beasts. Looking at the fierce Li Yuan, the 3 black leopards' eyes were fierce. Even if they didn't have a physical body and only had divine souls left, they were not people that Li Yuan could offend. However, when Qin Feiyang glanced at them, they became obedient. Li Yuntai's face also changed slightly. He quickly pushed Li He away and stopped Li Yuan, saying, "Li Yuan, don't be impulsive." Brother Gao brought them back. Li Yuan was stunned and turned to look at Qin Feiyang suspiciously, saying, "Brother Gao, just kill these beasts. Why did you bring them back?" Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Of course it's for your village." "For our village?" Li Yuan was stunned. Li Yuntai, Li He, Li Feng, and the other villagers were also puzzled. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, looked at the divine souls of the 3 beasts, and said, "From now on, you stay here and protect Cloud Mountain Village." "What? Let us protect these garbage?" The 3 black leopards suddenly looked unhappy. However, Li Yuntai and the others were very happy to hear Qin Feiyang's words. This was because the 3 black panthers were all perfected divine lords. The strongest people in Cloud Mountain Village were Li Yuntai and Li Dashan, 2 consummate Sir gods. Even if they worked together, they were no match for the Black Panther. Therefore, with the addition of these 3 Black Panthers, the strength of the Cloud Mountain Village had undoubtedly soared by a large margin. From today onwards, who would dare to come to Cloud Mountain Village and cause trouble in the surrounding villages and ferocious beasts? But when they heard the 3 Black Panthers call them trash, their faces were filled with anger. "If you're not trash, how did you end up in our hands? You have to be clear about your identities. You are just dire beasts. What qualifications do you have to look down on us humans? If you dare to speak rudely again, I'll kill you all." The group of people was furious. His physical body had already been shattered, and only his soul was left. How dare he be arrogant in front of them? Destroy us? With just the 2 of you? A strand of my divine sense is enough to raze your lousy village to the ground. The three Black Panthers sneered. You try. Li Yuan roared. Then do you have the ability to stop this Gao person from interfering? Let's see if I dare. A group of ants living at the bottom of the divine land want us to protect them? Don't you think it's ridiculous? The eyes of the three beasts were filled with disdain. Everyone was so angry that they gritted their teeth and their eyes were spitting fire. Have you said enough? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and looked at the three Black Panthers. Not enough. You are very strong. We admire you. It's impossible for us to protect this lousy village. The three beasts snorted. Then I'll kill you all. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with cold light. The three beasts suddenly panicked. Qin Feiyang said, I don't like to negotiate. Either you listen to me or die now. Choose. The three beasts heard this and their faces were filled with grievance. They were all consummate Sir Gods, but they were forced to such an extent by a mere Sir God. How embarrassing. Answer me. Qin Feiyang shouted. Okay. We'll listen to you. We'll listen to you. The three beasts trembled and quickly nodded. No matter what, their lives were the most important. They had to save their lives first. Qin Feiyang snorted and turned to Li Yuntai with a smile. Brotherly, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. Okay. Li Yuntai nodded. Follow me. Qin Feiyang glanced at the three beasts and flew to the pavilion halfway up the mountain. The three beasts followed behind him nervously. He can even tame such ferocious beasts. That's amazing. Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang's back and their faces were filled with admiration. Brother Gao is invincible. Li He smiled proudly, then looked at Li Yuntai and asked with concern, Father, are you okay? I'm fine. I'll recover in a few days after taking the divine elixir of life. Li Yuntai rubbed Li He's head and suddenly noticed the python and the crystal vein. He asked in surprise, why are they in the village? Li He smiled and said, Brother Gao killed the python and brought the crystal vein back. Li Yuntai was stunned. He looked at Li He and Li Feng and said, You went to see him this morning because of this? Yes. Little He said that she saw you running around tirelessly for the village and wanted to share your burden. So she went to Brother Gao to help. Li Feng nodded. Thank you, girl. Li Yuntai looked down at Li He, his face full of relief. Why are you thanking me? I've been watching the whole time. Brother Gao is the one you should thank. Li He giggled. Yes, I should thank him properly. Li Yuntai nodded and looked at Qin Feiyang again with a smile in his eyes. In front of the pavilion, in the garden. Qin Feiyang sat in the pavilion, drinking tea silently. The souls of the three Black Panthers stood aside, trembling. Qin Feiyang said, Do you want to promise me that you will stay in the village and find a chance to escape after you reconstruct your bodies? No. Absolutely not. We sincerely want to protect this lousy village. No. We sincerely want to protect Cloud Mountain Village. The three beasts hurriedly said. Do I look like a fool to you? Qin Feiyang looked at them mockingly. Of course not. The three beasts shook their heads. How could there be such a powerful fool in the world? Then it's not right. Let me tell you, don't try to fool me. I've seen countless people stronger than you, more ruthless than you, and more arrogant than you. In the end, there was no exception. They were all trampled under my feet. So, get rid of those unrealistic, naive, and ridiculous ideas as soon as possible. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Yes. The three beasts agreed and kept their promise. Qin Feiyang put down the teacup, took out the azure phoenix sword, and put it on the table. The three beasts looked at the azure phoenix sword in shock. A legendary divine artifact. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he quickly condensed 3 slavery seals. A legendary divine artifact. Are you giving it to us? The three beasts stared at the azure phoenix sword, their eyes full of desire and greed. The slave seals were right in front of them, but they didn't even notice. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.